We're good to go.
Right.
Okay. Go with a bang. Yeah. All right. So, just give us a brief description of like where you was born, where you was raised, and what you was into as a kid, and that.
Right. So, born in Chester, but lived out in the middle of nowhere. Well, tell a lie. First off, the first village we lived at, we moved around a lot as a kid. My dad was into property, doing up properties, moving on. So we'd stay in a house maybe max 2 or 3 years, and he'd move again, and we'd move again. That's what his thing was. So so we'd first little village, BMX boom is in, and we had a garden out the back. We had jumps, and then what got us really into it was me and my 2 brothers. There was a guy in our village who was mad into it, and he built 2 8-foot quarter pipes.
All right. Where did you first see BMX though?
First time I saw BMXB.
Okay, you see it on the TV first.
See it on the TV, and then we got mad into it. My brother first got.
Is your brother older than you?
Younger.
Okay.
And he got a Team Murray.
All right, yeah.
Blue and yellow, mags, so he got into it, and we just shared our bike. And we built a little jump in the back garden, and we just sessioned that. And then like I say, the guy in the village he built these 2 quarter pipes, 2 8 foot high, 8 foot wide, I think they were, and he had them in his garden, and they were moving away, and they were like, "Do you want them?" And we were like, "Yeah, we'll have them."
And was he riding? He was BMXing on them, not skating.
He was BMXer.
Okay.
And he was the first guy I ever saw into BMX. He obviously was very capable of building stuff and all that. He even had I think it was like the Bob Harrow book with
freestyle moves.
Yeah. And I think it had like a thing how to build ramps in
That's it. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And that's what he built. He built 2 of these, but obviously he couldn't take them with him. And he was like, "Do you want to put them in your garden?" And we had them up against the wall, and we'd come up the drive, and they were up against the wall, and seriously, every kid in the neighbourhood would just come and ride that. Yeah.
Yours. Yeah.
Yeah, and like my parents would be like, "What the hell is going on? There's tons of kids in the garden," and then like we were there, and it was a great setup, and then we had jumps to the side, so you'd be literally air, and then we'd do like a couple of little jumps, come back, do an air.
Okay, like circuit.
Yeah, literally, and that's what we did all day, every day. And then we lived in that house for like maybe 3-4 years, and then we moved to a place that was super remote, and my dad sold it on us. "Oh yeah, we can put the ramps in a barn. You can have the ramps in a barn." And then literally we moved there. There was no kids there. There was no one there. And we were literally, the nearest shop was like 3 miles away. So
what was that place?
It's called Clotton.
Clotton, I remember. Yeah.
You might have even been there.
Yeah.
And it was so remote. And my dad bought it because the intentions to build in the area and stuff like that. And he wanted to like get into the farming element of it. And so hence we moved there. And we got there, but there was no one there. There was no one to
interact with.
None at all. But so we had the ramp, and then we put it in the barn, and we kind of had it as an 8 foot wide half pipe.
Inside.
Fucking
touch.
Yeah, and it was great, and it was really, really good. And then at that time, my mum opened an office in Warrington. So this is how it all starts. So at this time, we're still going to school.
How did you know to put it as a half pipe, that ramp?
Because you couldn't put it any other way, because basically...
just by luck, yeah?
Yeah, literally, because it was about 20 feet long, the barn, but so you couldn't get run up from the wall to hit two. You just
pedalled in the flat?
So we put one against that wall and one against that wall.
Yeah, okay.
And it had like a 20-foot flat bottom. So we pedalled between the two.
I just wondered if you'd seen a half pipe.
No.
And what about mags? Did you see magazines at this early stage? You hadn't seen anything, no?
Nothing really.
Just TV stuff, and that was it.
That was it. And obviously, this guy that we got the ramps off, he was bang into it, and he was really good. And he'd shown us. I'd seen the Bob Harrow book, and then I think we started maybe getting a mag or two. We were crazy young at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it'd been like 12 or something.
Yeah, we were all over the place into all kinds of different stuff. And so we did that. But then when it really ignited was basically, so I was saying, my mum opened this office in Warrington. Warrington was huge for skateboarding. It shut up and skate, and it had a half pipe and a roller rink. And my mum's office was literally from here to the corner, like 100 yards.
Okay. What was it called? That half pipe called? I mean, it had a famous name, didn't it?
It did, and it had I just remember it had a rolling in the middle. I just remember the shut up and skate contest there.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the I can't. I'm blanking on the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean. So I was suddenly massively exposed to that place, right? So after school, we would go there all the time. My mum loved it.
Just to watch the skating?
Yeah.
Did you have skateboards? No.
Not at this point.
Okay.
How
did you know that was in there?
Because I went there my mum opened this office and I was like, I'm just going to go to the shop to get a drink or whatever, and my mum gave us cash. I was like, what is this? Roller rink? And then they were skateboarding. There was like a skateboarding poster on the wall, and I went in, and my mum was like, oh yeah, you can go in. How much is it for these guys to have a skate around or whatever? And they were like, oh yeah, you're in. And we were watching it, and Neil Dans was there skating, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. So then every day we were like to my mum, yeah, we'll come to work after work. And so every day we would go there, and then come the weekends we could go there, and then they got a shop there, and then that was it. They had RAD in there, or what it was at that time.
Yeah, BMX action bike.
BMX action bike. They had all the clothes. They had all the US mags, skating and BMX mags in there.
So Trans World Thrasher and all those
everything.
Things,
So I was suddenly exposed. And like, it was so good because I'd say to my mum, oh, they've got a really good magazine, because I was never into books at all.
Yeah.
My mum could never get me to read. So she would like, oh, you want a magazine? Yeah. Which ones do you want? Like, all of these, all of the above. And then like suddenly I was then exposed to all of it. Like, wow, this is amazing. And then I could watch it real life. Like,
watching it in real life. I
Neil Dans.
So for me, like, this is watch it. We used to go to Phase 7 and we watch Bones Brigade, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd watch it, you'd be like, oh, that's badass. And then like I found Chingford and I watched skating in real life, and I was like blown away, because it looks in real life way gnarlier than on video.
Literally,
feel it like, bruh.
Yeah. And there was the element of it, because you've got to bear in mind, boards would come flying out of the ramp at that point. There was no like,
it was gnarly,
plastic coping sticking out of it, and then like, so literally they'd knee slide out or whatever, the board would go off, and it'd go 20, 30 feet into this roller rink, and it'd be like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, man.
And then like Neil Dans was like doing hand plants over the gap, and then we were there one weekend, and then Sean Goff was there, Neil Dans was there, Pete Dossett was there, and you're seeing this live. So we were there all the time, skating all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what.
So you got, at this point, you were on a skateboard, yeah?
I was like, Mum, I want a skateboard. I want a Pete Dossett skateboard, and I got the Pete Dossett board, and then like we were like, we were just doing that.
You remember the graphic?
Yeah, it had cigarettes on it.
Oh,
and my mum didn't want to buy it me because it had cigarettes.
All right.
It said like cancer sticks on it or something mad.
I'll find it. Yeah, I'll find it.
I just remember it having I just remember it having a pack of cigarettes.
I know that he did a Mr. Punch one, was an early one, didn't it?
Could have been that.
That was his first one.
Like a court jester type.
Yeah. I think it was Mr. Punch, mate.
Yeah, but it had a packet of cigarettes on it, definitely.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I remember my mum going, wasn't he? Yeah. I remember my mum going, but it's got cigarettes on it. You can't have that. And I was like, but Mum, this guy's the best. Yeah. You should see him skate this ramp. I've got to have this board. He's the best board. And it was a complete board. And I was like, I had this board, and I was just like, this is... And then, like, because we go there straight from school, there was no one there. And we would just pump back, and then it got by about 5, 6 o'clock.
He was ousted.
Yeah.
He couldn't get on,
Yeah, we weren't good enough to be...
Yeah.
And, like, there was people going... going nuts on this ramp. So it was just like you'd end up watching them for like hours. Anyway, we got into that, and then we saw me and this guy that I was at school with. I was showing him mags and stuff like that, and then we were at Warrington, and then we saw this flyer for Whole Shot.
Oh, no way.
Christian Assoy's going to be at Whole Shot.
Oh, okay. So
holy shit.
87 this is, yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
87.
yeah.
87. Okay, so we're like, holy shit. Christian Assoy, he's supposed to be even better than these guys. He must be insane. And like the photos were mad. Like we'd seen a Christian Assoy. It was like Christ airs, like, but it was like, I can't even imagine.
Superhero
Yeah. So we were like, we've got to go to this. But I was lucky because my uncle lived in Putney.
Okay.
And he goes, yeah, come on down. I'll meet you off the train and I'll take you to the Sodal Centre. And I was like, yeah, whatever, wherever that is, we're going.
So what did you do? Get the train down?
Yeah, got the train down. Me and my mate Eddie, we got the train down. We were mad young at that point.
Yeah.
But it was fine because my mum put us on the train and my uncle got us off. And we went to Sodal Centre. And then we went there and I was like, oh my God, look at the BMX. This is fucking cool. Look at how cool the BMX is. Then, right, I wasn't really into... I was watching skating.
So you had a break from BMX? Okay, so...
The BMX was still my mode of transport.
Yeah.
To get to school.
But you was like,
Yeah.
Skating and taking you in.
Yeah, big time. And I was all about skating. But, so I was like, yeah.
You're at Whole Shot, yeah.
I'm at Whole Shot. And I see all these people riding, and then I see Craig Campbell ride. This is as like I'm saying to you, I focus on the weirdest shit. So I watched him do a peg stall drop in, right?
Yeah.
Off the quarter pipe. I was like, shit, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he was like wearing stuff that I was...
Yeah, that was his comeback, wasn't it? That was the Campbell comeback.
Was it?
Yeah.
He was on a chrome, but this is what I'm saying to you. I zone in on the weirdest shit. So he does this peg drop in, airs a quarter pipe, comes about, the music's blaring, it's so cool. And then he pops out and jumps into the vert ramp. And I'm like, this dude is the best ever. He's fucked the contest. He's in the fucking half pipe. This shit is sick. And then like we go round the back, and then on the back of the bleachers is what I can only think is Nick Phillips or someone like that, and they've got a kicker ramp up against the wall, and he's doing war rides. I think it's Nick Phillips. Yeah. So someone's doing war rides on the back of the bleachers. Yeah. And it's like, and it's a pink and white bike, and he's just with like crazy stickers all over it, and in the middle of the mag, he's got like a number plate with the mags.
Shape. Yeah.
And like, I presume it's him because obviously I've seen the pictures in the mags and stuff of him doing war rides and stuff, and I was into that. And then get back from Whole Shot. Shit, I'm buying a new bike. Yeah. Mum, I need a new bike. Wait till Christmas. So I'm picking out bikes and what am I getting? And I kind of wanted what they had, like covered in stickers.
You wanted like Fresh Machine. And
and I was like, yeah, but you can't get that.
Bikes look terrible, didn't they?
Yeah. So I ended up with an Amico Freestyle Pro from a shop that was selling it cheaper. It was white and blue, and it had like silver, like...
I remember it,
yeah. So I ended up with that, and I was like, it looks too clean.
Clinical.
Yeah. And anyway, like, I ended up stripping the parts off it and putting the parts onto, like, I can't remember, like a mongoose or something. And that was more kind of like... Because it was chrome, this bike frame was chrome, and it was like Craig Campbell's bike was chrome, and I was like, I want that chrome bike. And I remember seeing it, after I'd seen him ride there, I saw the mag, and I saw him doing the can. He had like a ramp in his garden.
Yeah,
he's
that's
doing
right.
like a can air.
Yeah, the one page.
Yeah. And I was like, shit, that is amazing. Like, that,
it looked like he was looking at the camera as well, didn't it?
Yeah, he's like a can, he's in shorts, it's like chrome bike, no stickers on it, and it was just like, I was in. That was it. I'm in. It's sold. And then so then we started making the ramp tighter, because I'd seen
Now you've seen a half pipe.
Yeah,
Because,
so I'm thinking, well, I can ride the BMX, because you couldn't really skate it because it was too rough.
Yeah.
The ground was too rough to skate our ramp, and but it worked on a BMX, because I was like, I never really put two and two together to ride the BMX on the half pipe that we saw in Warrington. So then we were like, oh wow, so we can make this work. So we had it set up in the barn, and then like we were just riding that. And then so at this point, so it'd be like 87, 88?
Yeah, 88, because 80, whole shot 87 was in December. So then...
So yeah, that would be the summer of 88.
Yeah.
So that, because I would have got so it must have been at my birthday getting the bike, and I would have worked through the summer in the farm to get money to buy this bike. Anyway, so it's then, and then I get a job in Chester town centre, so I'm riding every day to there or getting the bus, and obviously the skate park there,
the concrete one. So we're like, everyone's going there and like, oh, can we make it work? And then that is when I met Owen's brother, Jamie. I met him there. So he's like my age at this point, right? So like, and he goes, oh yeah, I skate, blah, blah, blah. And it was cool. He was straight off the bat, he was super friendly dude, and we really got on. And he's going, yeah, I'm going to build a mini ramp. And we're like, oh, right, cool. And then, I don't know how long. This is where it gets a bit misty on the time frame, you know. But I just remember going to Owain and Jamie's house. You got to bear in mind, Owain is crazy small at this point. Yeah, he's like 5 or something.
Owen's like 5, and we're like 14, 15. And so then Jamie had this ramp, and it was amazing. He'd done such a good job. Think of it, he built this ramp at that younger age, like at 14, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And then his mum was so cool with us. She was like, yeah, come in. And I'm not joking you. They didn't have the biggest garden, but like there must have been 20 people in there. And like sessioning this ramp that Jamie had built.
Were you sessioning it on your bike?
Yeah. Okay, Jamie was totally cool with it. And then like we'd skate, some days if I'd go to work, I got the bus to work. I had this like crazy apprenticeship where I worked at Chester Zoo.
All right.
And it was like literally like the hours were so chill because you couldn't be there when the punters were, working in there. So we would have to start at 7 and finish at 1. And I was like, this is the sickest job ever. Like
it leaves you the rest of the day, yeah.
yeah. So I would go to Jamie's house, I would go into town, just do whatever. And then I was like, this allowed me to ride all the time, like different places, ride around. Then Ed Wally built this vert ramp. Everyone was talking about this. There's a vert ramp. A guy's built a vert ramp in a barn right by your house. And I'm like, no way, that's madness. That couldn't be the case. So we go there, and there's this farm. But you've got to imagine, this guy is out there, completely out there. He is an inventor, and an inventor is...
I remember him.
Yeah, you met him, yeah. Crazy is an understatement. So he builds this ramp, absolutely perfect. And he goes, I want a demo. I've seen it at Warrington. That's what I want. I want that down in the village. When we have the village fete, we're gonna have a demo. I want BMX. I want skateboarding. I want people flying in the air. That's what he wanted.
Okay, yeah.
And then he was the first person I'd ever seen to put a strip like this.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. The ramp was 3 foot off the floor or something.
So scary. And he built this, and he was like, let's do this demo. And it was so cool. And Neil Dans did it, Dossett, Shaun Goff, and a bunch of their mates came, did a demo in the local village of all things. And I was like, this is...
How did he get them? Do you know?
Must have paid him. Paid him. You've got to bear in mind, this guy invented the round baler. He was not short of a few quid.
Oh, okay.
So he had crazy cash. And just to throw a mad story into the mix with him, I used to help him loads of times because like I'd go there every day then at this point. And he'd go, oh yeah, help me with this. And he'd be like welding something, no mask on, just cutting metal, just doing all this stuff. And it was just like so crazy. And he goes, I bought a microlight. I'm going to learn to fly it. And I was like, what?
No way.
And he goes, yeah, I just bought it. Bought it off a guy. And I was thinking to myself, you've got to have a license for this stuff, surely. And then like, he's going, no, it's fine. You just fly these things. And then like, he had enough land to do whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
And he built a roll. He'd rolled it flat with the tractor, mowed it super low grass. And he built a runway. So he was like, okay, all right, let's take off. He goes, I want you, if I crash, phone the ambulance. Run back to the farm, phone the ambulance. And I was like, what? So then he took off, like totally out of control, sketchy as hell, flies and flying around. Then he comes back, nails it, bends the whole front end, smashes the front up. He's cut his face, all that stuff. He's going, oh my God, I can do it, I can fly. I was like, okay. And then like, so he was doing that every day. Like,
okay.
But just bought another one, learned to fly that. And then he goes to me, do you want to come up? So I was like, I don't know.
No,
and he goes, yeah, get in it. He's getting it. It's 2-seater.
Fuck that.
Anyway, we went in it, and then he goes, let's fly over to your house, see your mum and dad. And they were out in the garden, and we're flying. I told him he built this thing. And I'm like, Mum! But he's super loud. And he's coming down, but he's looking at my mum and dad like this in the garden. He didn't know him from Adam. He just...
Yeah.
He's concentrating on them. Then, because our barn was like this at the end of the garden, the wheels hit the barn roof and goes... And he was like, oh, yeah, we should go back now. And I was like, oh, my God. But he pulled it, totally.
No way.
Just nearly totaled the whole thing. So anyway, just to put a picture to the character.
The guy's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, you met him. So anyway, so we did that, and he had the ramp. He let us do everything. He built the bike with the rail on the thing. Have you ever seen that? Where me and
I've seen it. You've seen it. It's in one of the videos.
Me and Ian learned how to do it.
Roll forwards.
Yeah. And we were doing that, and then he was doing all this crazy stuff, and it just enabled us to ride all the time. And he was super cool with us. And like I say, I was finishing work at 1. I would get there at like 2 in the afternoon and then just ride that all afternoon. And it was like, there was always people there.
Yeah.
So it just... And
he basically built a scene.
Yeah, literally.
For everyone to go, like everyone was into it as it all congregates there.
Yeah, and then there was people that would go there because there's nothing going on, right? Like I say, there's nothing there. So there was people that didn't even ride would go there just to hang out. So he built like it's now called the Crocky Trail, but basically he built this like scene for people just to hang out because he was obviously he had money. He just wanted to do stuff for the community.
Cool stuff for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. And so hence that's how it. And then from that I met so many people. I met Jim Graham from Jim Tomlinson and Graham Critch. I met them guys. They came down. So then in turn, Mike Rose, which is Cal, met him. Then the Cow zine thing started. So then Harry from Manchester, they would come down. So then they're like, oh yeah, come here, go there. You just meet.
So you get a network,
instantly. And it was just like, it was so cool that like I could go to Manchester with Harry and stuff. And then that was when I was open to a whole new world where split shop was open, split skates. So we'd go there. That shop was so cool. Like it had skateboarding, it had BMX. It was just
it was a mecca, wasn't it? Like what was when you first went to Chester Skate Park? Was it like half bulldozed the first time you went?
I think it always has been.
Okay, from the 70s.
Because I asked my dad because I was like, because my dad actually worked for the council, but it wasn't Cheshire Council, it's the Liverpool Council. And I said to him, what had gone on with this? Because he was youth and community, so he was like, he looked into it and he was like, it's never actually been a thing. The company went bust before it finished, and it boomed in the 70s, but it would have been unreal. Did you ever go there, John?
Yeah, I went there a couple of times. You've seen that there's pictures of it online with some of them bowls are finished.
Really?
And they're like...
I haven't seen
15 feet tall, was it? They're so high. Yeah, there's loads. Yeah. There's a lot. I've got loads of photos that I've taken from the internet.
Really?
I've got pictures of kids riding that on bikes, and they're like Yeah, they're really tall, them bowls, some of them, yeah.
Well, the half pipe there that was have no flat bottom in, that had to be 18 feet tall.
I can't remember. I just remember there was like a ton of like
boulders
just smashed
everywhere.
rubble and stuff, yeah.
And like, so what we would do is, and Jamie would be there, and we would clear bits out. So we'd clear a bowl out, right?
Clear sections.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we can ride it, clear it out, and it's super cool. And we'd clear it out, but then literally we'd come back 2 days later, and the council would have filled it back in again.
Oh, okay. So you just didn't want people using it?
Nah. And it was so sad because it would have been amazing that. I don't know what year it would have been built, so it would have been
70. It'd be 78, 79.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that, and it was mad because what was cool though, what worked that never got damaged or boulders put in front of it was the war ride at the back of the claw pipe.
People had pictures in Invert and Freestyle.
Because you could, and it was weird. It was like, so the bank was like here, but the wall was like here. But you could go up and go war ride, but then come back into it if you went my way.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you went up, so it's like hitting a vert wall and then pulling back into the bank. Zach was the first person I ever saw do anything remotely good on that. And that was
the day of that must have been the day that he came.
So the second time Eddie did a carnival, Cow did a jam.
Yeah.
And everyone came. It was absolutely unbelievable.
And that's the one that's in the mag.
Yeah. That's the date. Mark Noble came down. I couldn't believe it. There was TLB, Zach, Dave Slade was down. It was just the craziest day. Graham Marfleet.
Yeah.
And my mind was exposed to just the best riding I'd ever seen. Because at that point, Dave Slade, we talked about it as like he did the war ride down the stairs that everyone's seen, but it was so.
What, that was that weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was that weekend.
Yeah. So we went to the school, and the school was like literally right by Owen's house. It's like,
and that's the same school with the bank to.
Yeah, same school. So the fence, the bank to fence, and the bank to wall are at the top, and then down the bottom of the thing is a set of stairs with a little bump here, and then it goes down. So we would session it. We would carve the bank and then jump the stairs.
All right.
That was the deal. And then we were there. Graham Marfleet did some insane stuff there.
Yeah.
Like,
he was the master of that stuff,
and he was just unreal. And then I'm trying to think. Zach must have been with him then, because I love Zach. I was just like I said to you before. It's like it was my first time I'd heard anyone outside of EastEnders with a proper London accent, and I was like, "This dude is amazing." I was like, "Listen to his accent, man! It's like he's from the TV. How has he got that accent?" Anyway, I was mesmerised by it, and Zach was so cool, and he was like, "Yeah,
he was full of life."
Yeah, and he was a million mile an hour, and I loved it, and I was like, "This guy's the best." And then we went to the school, and then Mark was there, and Mark Noble was there, and then Dave Slade said, "I'm gonna do a war ride down these stairs," and I couldn't comprehend what he was going to do. And then he did it. It didn't look the prettiest what he did, but what he did was insane. Like honestly, that moment we were just like, "Oh my God, what has he just done?" And it's just so mad that I think this now in an adult's eyes of like. Mark Noble was like so in tune with what was going on.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
He just needs more credit for like taking photos of moments that are like holy.
That's a good groundbreaking moment. Like so, it's one of them ones that you didn't realise. I didn't realise at the time how far forward that actually was, even though I'd seen it for years. Really flicking through that mag.
No, I literally lived that moment. I didn't realise how far ahead of the time it was. Because we would do war rides on stuff that were like this, like try and do it, and like people would try and do it, and then Dave did it on the school wall, which was insane then, because it was like a 4-foot deck, and he wall rode the back of the school and then back into the bank, and we were like, what the hell? And then he did that a load of times. And then he went and did the wall ride down the stairs, and everyone was like, this is crazy.
Over,
like, how has he done that? And then he just rode off. He's just another crazy character that was a million mile an hour. But
can you remember, did he do that a few times, or was that a one hit?
I think he only did it once.
Okay, amazing.
Like, but it was just happening because he was liaising with Mark. Mark would be the better person to tell you if he did it.
Yeah, okay.
I think he definitely jumped the stairs a few times.
Yeah.
Because I saw him do that because he was doing the hits we were doing. Like, we would just carve the bank, or do a manual roll on the bank, drop back in and jump the stairs.
Yeah.
But he was doing wall rides on the back of on the school, and we thought the whole window was going to collapse. And then, like, he did that, and then, So that day was just like... And then from that point, I was like, I've got to ride with this guy more.
Yeah.
And we were like, where is he? And then he was like, there's going to be a jam at WAF.
No, before that was Southsea.
Was it Southsea?
Yeah, before that, yeah.
Okay, so...
And I remember... See,
this is where my brain gets...
no, because I remember you guys came down, right, that year, and you went to Chingford, which is where I rode.
Yeah.
And I'd missed you. And the locals told me, Mad Jon was here, and Zach. And because obviously I knew Zach, already, like I was friends with Zach.
Yeah.
And whoever else, maybe Chris Hamer as well.
Yeah.
There was a few of you.
There would have been all of us. There would have been Harry, Chris Hamer, Zach, me, maybe Jim, Graham Critch, definitely
it's
Mike.
like 2 cars or something. Probably, right?
we all did it. Like, I wasn't driving at that point, so I always
remember Jim had
a car straight away.
A car, yeah.
Because his dad had something to do with a Mercedes dealership. So
that's right, yeah.
So he had a car, and a big car, and it was so cool. It was like we were driving in a Mercedes.
Yeah.
It was so
remember
ridiculous.
Cruising about in a Mercedes. And you guys came and you left an impression on the locals, and they were talking about was it the South Yorkshire plant or something, where you basically carve up the tranny like about, and your wheels are probably about 2 foot under, and you put your leg on the deck.
Oh yeah.
Chris
would do that, and he'd like slide his leg on the deck. Yeah. So he'd like put his leg on.
I'm doing his thing. It was called a South Yorkshire plant.
Because it would have been Chris, because it was so good because Chris and Zach were like peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Straight away, like I think even Zach moved up and
he stayed at Chris's for a few months.
Yeah, they were working at some clothing place, and that was wild because obviously then we were with Zach all the time.
Yeah,
and he'd come and stay at gyms, and it was like he was a huge influence on us, making us go places, and it was like, we got to go here, we got to do this, and Zach was the instrument that made all that happen. And then like obviously Harry had a car, so we piled in Harry's car, Jim's car. Don't even Chris. Yeah, so Chris would have got with Harry in his car, and they would have left Manchester, and then I would have gone to see Jim, and we would have jumped in Jim's car, and then we were going everywhere at that point.
And then like at that bit, I suppose this is 89. Your bike and your look is completely like it's a BMX guy now.
Yeah.
It's like
skate,
it's like airwalk shoes.
Yeah.
Cow t-shirt.
Cowzine was born. Yeah.
Skyway TA with black tufts and like just looked the part, didn't it? It was all go. Like,
that's why. And I just started thinking like skating was just it was really hard. Skating was really hard, and I loved it. Like because obviously you got to bear in mind I learned the basics when we were kids.
Yeah. Like
hitting quarter pipes, doing all that. So a lot of this stuff was coming a lot quicker than what it did with skating.
Yeah.
A lot quicker. And I really enjoyed that element of it. And it was just like, and meeting all these characters that I met characters through skating, like Jamie, like Owen's brother. But there was never a bunch of people that were like a little bit older than me out. And they were like, right, we're doing this. And then it was like, I'm such a culture vulture. I want more like all the time.
Yeah, you want to soak it up.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the best thing ever.
So, but before that, there was this.
So
this is 88.
Yeah. So what?
No, this is June 89. So this must have been. Well, how is this?
So
How is this New Year's party ended up in a June issue? So this was New Year's, right?
That I can't tell you. But I remember it was winter time, yeah, for sure. But I tell you how I know. So,
but this is
88. That's a new GT, right?
Yeah.
So that bike. So at this point, my
cow
uncle
T-shirt.
Cow.
But this was like. Look, you've got the whole page, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like seeing this and being like, "Oh, hand plant." So we haven't seen that since Eric tried to do the hand plant.
Yeah.
And like you got this mugshot, and then you've got this with the thing on your head as well.
Yeah, the beanie.
And it was like, "There's a new guy. There's a new guy arrived, and he's with these dudes here."
Yeah.
Can you remember who you went?
Oh, I went with Jim and Graham Critch.
Okay.
They were like, "Yeah, we got to go there." And like he's in one of the photos somewhere, like down there. Graham Critch is there, and then so he had a mini ramp in his back garden, and like similar to that, and we'd learnt a load of stuff on that ramp, and like that's from skating. That's
of course,
and like that's what I wanted to do.
What, so had you not seen Eric try that yet?
No.
Okay, because Eric was just before you got into it, right?
Yeah. And then like. At this point, I'd never met Eric, I don't think, at this point. He hadn't moved to Chester at this point. And then, like, because I could do them on a skateboard, and then I got that. But that bike, that randomly, if I remember rightly, so my uncle had moved to Toronto, and then in Canada, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to come over here." So my mum was like really keen for me to go and meet him, and my auntie, she was in fashion, so she was sent there to do a product launch for a company in Toronto, and they ended up moving there. So I would go and stay with him for like a week or two in the like holidays, like Easter holidays or summer holidays, and it was suddenly like I could walk in a shop and buy a bike.
Is that where that came from? Yeah, because that's a pretty like dialed-in bike, isn't it?
Exactly,
it looks brand new as well.
It was pretty much a complete bike.
Yeah,
and I remember my uncle going, "Oh, you want that?" Because he was doing all right for cash.
Yeah.
He'd moved to Toronto. His wife has had a really good job. He was chilling. He goes, "Hey, I'll get you that." And I was like, "What?"
No way.
And I ended up having that bike, and then he then bought me the one with the bash guard.
Oh, yeah.
And I had that
aggressor or something.
Yeah. But that literally only lasted like a month, and it snapped. Like it didn't last long. But yeah, that time was Dave Slade was there.
Yeah, like because look, Dave Slade is on the same bike that he did the wall ride on, right? So
exactly. So it's not that much different in time.
It seems like loads has gone on.
But it hasn't.
But it's not that.
That probably was the summertime when he did the war ride, and then this is the winter time of the same year. That's how it seems in my head.
Yeah.
Could be completely wrong. But anyway, that...
Or vice versa. That's the winter and he did it the next summer.
Correct. Yeah. So that's the time period in that. So at this point, we are going there places every weekend.
And this is Roller Snakes, right?
In Nottingham, yeah. And that was in the shop. And
was that in the basement or something?
It's literally at the side of the shop. So the shop's
no way.
Here. Yeah. It was cool. And it had like a wall ride on the back here. That was really close, that deck there. And then this one was bigger. But that's so funny looking at that. It's like Dave Slade and James Holder.
Yeah.
It's just like
a cow. I mean, yeah, man.
Yeah, and obviously Mike was so cool. So all the clothes, he would like make it. And then like I bought a jacket. And then he was like, like the Joy Division style, where he wrote Cowzine on the back of this jacket, and like it was so cool. It was like a donkey jacket, a brown donkey jacket, and it was so mad. And it had Cowzine, and everywhere I went, I wore this jacket to work. I loved this jacket, because he'd done graphics on it, and he'd made a little square on the front. It was all done by pen, but it was just. But the t-shirts were screen printed. And it was just cool. It was like something that we.
It was your scene.
Yeah.
But that sort of transcended to. I was looking at that stuff, and I always remember thinking, "Fuck, I want to meet Cal. Like he seems well cool.
Yeah.
Like he had a bike that had Cal print on it, and he had, like you say, Calzine, and he had the t-shirts, and he was a weird dude with glasses and some crazy hair.
Yeah.
And I just always remember being like, I'd like to meet this dude, and I never met him.
Did you not?
No.
And
by the time I started going up north, one of you guys had told me, oh no, he's on tour with the Pogues or something. And I can't remember who told me that.
Yeah.
And I've spoke to him on message, and I asked him, he went, no, don't know what they're on about. So he maybe went somewhere, but like I never actually met him back in them days. I just missed, our paths just missed, you know.
So obviously he went on to do editor of...
he went on to do other stuff, but like I never actually met him in his BMX days,
See, because that was so mad, because in his garden, do you remember there was like, what was the name of the ramp? And so basically it was a 2-up contest, but you could hit it from every direction. Stonehenge.
Yeah.
So at one side, like the quarter pipe was higher, than the rest, so you could air it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you could air into it. He built that in his garden.
Like a replica.
And it was so much fun. And you could hit it, and we rode that quite a bit. And obviously he was pretty...
And where was he from?
He was Oswestry or somewhere like that. So Shrewsbury, that kind of area.
Yeah.
And he was like, and he loved Dave, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Dave was
I suppose
creative.
If you looked at it, Calzine and what he was doing was like his version of like Damaged, sort of.
Exactly.
So
that
that's
massively influenced.
Right? Which is how it should work. You know?
Yeah. He was hugely influenced by that. Hugely influenced by the war ride thing. Obviously, Mike's seen the war ride down the stairs, so he saw all of the stuff I saw. He was like, he lived it exactly the same as me. Then after that would have been the WAF Jam, right? So would we have that?
Yeah, WAF came after Southsea. And when you was at Whole Shot, do you remember anyone else riding there?
No.
That's all you remember is Campbell, yeah? That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, like Hoffman was there. And,
was he?
Yeah.
No, don't remember
that year. Hoffman, Wilkerson.
No.
Josh White. Yeah, there was loads of people there.
Really?
Yeah. Josh White, was it?
No.
Didn't have the best weekend, but...
No, it's just weird. It's just weird that I zoned in on that.
And the bike, you can't remember the bike wrestling. You remember that? Dave Slade doing the bike wrestling.
No, I remember. What I do remember of that is Cal telling me about it. Mike was telling me about Dave did this bike wrestle, and he was wrestling his own bike on the floor. And I was like, what? And then, because obviously, then once we met him, I was like, okay, like, you can picture it. And he would do the most craziest shit ever. And like, I remember the time when I might have told you about this, when I handed the camera to him, because I was thinking, he's really good with his camera.
I was there.
You lived it.
Was it your birthday jam or something?
Yeah, 18th birthday.
Yeah, that's it.
So my 18th birthday, I remember...
I came up with Sean Scarf from Grand Marfleet.
Yeah. And we were all at the ramp, and we were all like camping out and stuff like that. And then we handed the camera to him, and then... looking back on it, it's so mad. So he put the hand in front of the camera, and it was like, it pissed me off so much at the time, because I went back and I was like, my birthday video, sick, everyone was there, it was so good. Put it on the TV, and I was like, what the fuck? And like, we were all riding, but it'd be like his hand would come in.
I remember he was just filming, and it was like, it was on there. Like, I remember everyone there was like,
what is going on here?
And no one, because he was like, he was higher up than everyone
he
there.
was way cooler.
No one's going to say, what's going on here? We don't know.
He knows what he's doing. He films all the time.
Filmer,
So anyway, that was that story. And then that was always the joke then. Like, if I was going to do something, like try something, or Jim would be shooting stuff, I'd look through the corner of my eye and he'd just go like that, put the hand, because he knew how much it pissed me off, and he put his hand in front of the camera, and it was just
brilliant.
It was just good, because I was. But now looking back at it and looking at it in adult eyes, I'm like, wow, he was so creative and so forward
experimental,
thinking. And he's just doing cool shit, and we were just copying what we were seeing. He's on his own tip, like doing his own thing, stuff that we wanted to do, and it was like he was making.
He's thinking more about it than what everyone else is just photocopying what they want.
Yeah,
I mean, fair enough. Yeah,
and then like his bike got crazier looking up by the day, and then we started going over there, and then we met Sid, Shaun, Allison. And like watching them ride was just something else.
Did you that Hudson's ramp?
We didn't actually. I think first few times we never went to Hudson's. We met Shaun. I think we went to maybe Nottingham. You know the
bank jam.
The bank jam, yeah. And we met him there. And watching Shaun ride was something else. And it was like he could hop stuff that would, like this table, he would make it look effortless. Graham Marfleet, same thing. They could hop onto bear in mind, I could only hop like this high, high, but them guys could just hop like stuff legit high, like handlebar high, and they could manual it. And Shaun Allison would do blunts on it. He had a coaster brake. Then I remember this is the one time blew my mind. We were waiting to cross the road and there was a lamppost, and Shaun did a fakey wall ride on a lamppost.
Yeah, I've seen the picture. Yeah, and
I was like, oh my God, how? Like, the thought of missing it, it's like a vertical rail ride at that point, you know, like, and then we went into the town centre. Dave was doing like sprocket grinds on the ledges, and then Graham Marfleet did a manual on this thing that was like maybe 2 feet high one end, but it was an 8-foot drop off the end. But he was dropping off the 8-foot thing like he was dropping off a 2-foot thing. Yeah. He made it look effortless. He was like that guy that was like supernatural at everything.
Yeah,
it was like
elite bike control.
It was just phenomenal.
Figured it out.
Yeah, he'd unlocked the ultimate landing thing, and it was just like so smooth. And like watching Shaun ride that stuff, because we'd obviously seen Dave ride and like what he was doing, the grinds, everything he was grinding on all kinds of bikes. And like he broke his chain, and it's just like didn't matter. And it was just like, wow, that's how we need to ride. We need to grind stuff. And Cal was doing all kinds.
It's funny because like
grinds.
This period of time, BMX is completely dead. Like if you're not riding BMX, like it's so like quiet. There's no one riding at all. So you had like a good scene of people around your local area that was still riding. That's like for that to actually like ignite someone in that period of time. But pretty good.
It was a mission to go and ride with them lot would be either crew. It's nothing now, but you've got to bear in mind I didn't drive at that point, so it was like getting to crew was the bus, C84 every time. We get the bus to Jim's house, or then we get the train to Manchester. So then that opened up a whole new world. Once I started doing that, meeting Harry and Chris and Zach, and going into Manchester. And then we'd start riding in Manchester.
WOF Jam, if we go back a bit, WOF Jam was before you discovered Split, or around the same time?
Around the same time, I would say.
So like South, can you remember anything about that King of Concrete?
I remember me and Zach riding.
That was a really good one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was like the gathering of like of the tribes that were like it was
because like you said, no one was doing it anywhere, and then it was so cool to meet like-minded people from different cities. Yeah, and you just like
who still like had the belief, like still had the faith to ride these bikes. Like
and it was like the anarchist version of it, of what we were doing is like anti-establishment, anti-everything. We're doing this shit. What?
Yeah, don't
anyone else thinks. And when you met like-minded people, at this point, you got to remember, as I'm sure you remember, is if you saw someone at college that was wearing airwalks, you were like, do you skate or ride BMX?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then if you saw someone with a BMX t-shirt on, you were like, oh, that's cool.
Secret society.
Yeah, it literally was secret society. And like, it was so cool at that time to go to Manchester, and then like we would at that point, we were starting to meet all the skaters and go. And that's when I was obviously exposed to that element of it, back to skating again.
Yeah, came back in a circle.
Yeah.
But what about like, so when you was, the WOF Jam was the end of the summer '89.
Yeah.
And that was a fucking legendary like event, you know? Like, I remember that also seemed like, so Southsea was like a bigger thing. Waff Jam was like shrunk. It was only probably a week later or 2 weeks later, and it was like even less of a thing, but like more concentrated. That seemed like the dudes who was there. Could you remember anything about that?
Yeah,
that's one of my favourite memories is Waff Jam.
Like I remember Zach jumping out the bank. So funny. I think he bent his foot. Yeah, I think he bent his forks doing it, or bent. I remember him wrecking his bike, and I remember him saying to me, "Why did I do that?" Because he wrecked his bike, but he jumped the whole thing. It was nuts.
Long ways.
Yeah. It was wild, and so there was that. There was the car. Sean Allison was doing blunts on the car bonnet from the flat.
Okay. Andy Brown was there. Dave Slade was there.
Andy Brown was. See, that was the other thing as well. It's like, you got to remember, we're from the north, and like, I really, really rated Andy Brown because he would like come to the north.
Okay, yeah,
it was just weird.
He had friends, like he was friends with Dave Slade and Sean, and like
he had
connections up there.
And like, I really rated him. Like, and it was like him, and when going back to the Nottingham Jam in the mini ramp, he came with Jason Hassel.
Yeah.
And then, like, he was a wild character. He never really rode, but I could tell, you're not fucking with that guy. It would end you. Like, and then, like, so, like, there was him, and Andy Brown was just, he rode that mini ramp with us, and he was amazing. And then he was at the Waff Jam, and it was just like, I never really talked to him, but because he was in that.
Yeah, he was like higher up. Yeah,
it was just like, he was like superstar status, but he was so cool, and he chatted to us, and he was just like, we come up from London, and it was just like, it was a mission to come from London. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like how people see it now. If you go to Australia or you go to America,
right. But the divide was huge then.
Yeah, it seemed like,
I remember like meeting you guys, and like you guys were probably the first real, like, I'd met sort of token northern guys, but never really, only for like a day or something, a contest or whatever. But I remember meeting you guys, and you had like a scene. Yeah. And it was like, it was different to our scene. Your scene was the same, but it was different, you know, there's a difference between the both.
Like, and
we were the same thing,
and it was always but it was always even like 10, 15 years later, it was like, but are they from the north? Do they come to the north? You know, it was always like...
And we had like north-south divide as well, which was actually from like Andy Brown, and those guys would always just trash the northerners, but like in a humorous way,
of course,
just giving each other shit. And that's where we got a bit of like the same thing, like it was good.
But I think he got the northern banter straight away.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean.
What you fucking Southerners doing here at this contest? You know, this is ours. It's our hollow ground.
Yeah, that was passed down.
Yeah, and it was like, that's. I guess that was that was what it was. And obviously, Dave was super cool with him. So he was like, we obviously, like I say, we put Dave on this huge pedestal where he was like, if Dave liked it, he's cool. Do you know what I mean? Like it was super cool. And then. So then
the Waff Jam, and Chris Hardy was the guy that put the Waff Jam on. With Neil and Sean Allison, Neil Waddington. And that was featured in RAD as well, which was one of the.
This is where your memory is far superior to mine.
That was a good spread.
Because it was mad, because when you look back on them photos, it's like we were just fucking around all the time. The humour was good. Like, it was good humour back then. Like, we never took
it was just all a joke.
Yeah. But now looking back on it, I really appreciate like TLB, like taking photos of us fucking about, like me putting the foam on, because I can't even remember like how that all came about. Like, but I remember putting the foam on and TLB going, do that again, do this on there. And then, like,
the foam was like, what was it, like a crash mat or something? Inside of a crash mat from the school.
Because it was at a school. And that was just laying around there, and we were rolling onto. Because I was like, we started off messing around doing trying tricks onto the foam.
Okay.
And then like I must have crashed on the foam, and then I put the foam on, and I was riding around with the foam. I was like, I'm not going to get hurt falling off stuff. And then, like, yeah, it was a wild one. But now I look back on that photo, and I'm like, that's so sick that he got them, captured them moments.
I think that came out of the skip. There was a skip there. Remember, Jay got tossed in the skip. I think that came out of the skip.
It's just so mad looking back on that now. Like, you couldn't go and hold a jam in a schoolyard.
Well, you might be able to, but it'd be a lot more difficult than that. Like, that was just chaos, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was carnage, and then like everyone was just going nuts, and it was cool. What was the jam where there was I think it was like on the back of a vert ramp, and Dave was doing wall rides.
Boatwell, Sheffield. Well, you went to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was where Cal had his picture doing the wall ride on the back of the vert ramp, and Shaun Allison's got that picture as well.
Yeah, Dave Slade.
Yeah, that was Boatwell, where they had a vert ramp somewhere.
Yeah, Dave Slade was doing fakey wall rides, huge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and that was another one that we went to that was so cool. We went to that.
So I think that was the year before. Was it really? That might have been '88. Yeah.
So this is the thing. I get a bit mixed on what year what. Because again, I wasn't driving, so I know it was like I wasn't 17. Because the minute I was 17, I was getting a car.
Okay.
So, because I was like...
Yeah, you've got things to do. I've got places to be.
Yeah, but that didn't last long because I got my driving licence and I totaled my mum's car, like, straight away. Totaled it on the way. We were all going to Birmingham, to the Birmingham Wheels mini-ramp contest.
Okay. Well, the spine one?
Yeah. And everyone's in the car, and I was like, I'll drive us. Smashed the car up.
No way.
Brand new car.
So you didn't get there?
No.
Okay.
And then, told that.
What about Steff? When did Steff Evans come about?
Steff was always... Sorry, yeah. Steff was always in the mix because he was North Wales.
He seemed like
Hoffman.
Whenever I found you guys, he was there.
He was with us, yeah. He was, sorry, yeah. He was always in the mix, and he had amazing setup at his house. He had a vert ramp and a mini ramp across the flat bottom going the other way. Yeah. And his vert ramp was unbelievable, but it was always a nightmare because it was like where he is. He's in North Wales, and it rained all the time, so it was always wet. And we tried setting it on fire.
That's the video footage I've seen.
Yeah, and we tried all kinds. We just poured petrol all over it. But what we didn't realise, we made it so slippy, it was unrideable.
It's greasy,
Yeah. So so Steff was always in the mix. He would come to Chester, but he was another one that as soon as he was driving, he was another. So we had another car, and then he had his other he had a brother. He was more into skating. Tommy, I think his name was, and he was, but he was more into flatland. Kind of like Dennis McCoy type thing, yeah. And so he always came to Southsea with us, yeah. So he was always like fit, and he filmed a lot.
Yeah.
So what was good was like Steff would film a lot of stuff, and Graham Critch, and Jim would take photos.
Graham did Graham not take photos, or he filmed?
Bit of both.
I remember he had a camera. Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Jim always had a camera, always. And then like I got like this like point and shoot. Ended up leaving it in Jim's car. God knows what happened to that. But yeah, I was always taking photos, and I was inspired by them guys.
Oh, okay.
Taking photos, but I was never as good as them, like taking photos. So I was always the guy. They would go, let's shoot a photo of that, and then it was cool because then I got used to doing that, and like we would end up doing cool stuff all the time. So then Manchester's.
So then we're at Split now, yeah.
Split.
So
Split.
You Manchester scene. You start going there more often by the looks of it.
Yeah, like much as we could.
Because Harry and Chris lived there, right?
Correct. Harry lived in Prestwich, and that's like North Manchester, and he was like the instigator of it all. He was like, we should go to Goshen, we should do this, we should do that, and then it was so cool. He was on it, and obviously. This is prior to Sheep Store days. Yeah. So Harry was working at Split, and he would finish work. We would meet in Manchester, and then we'd go. He would finish work, and then we would go up to Goshen and ride Goshen. And then Goshen days, we then met John Barnett.
When was was bikes always allowed in Goshen, or did they not
it was
let them in
really
at first?
weird.
Or was there one night that you could go? Or
Yeah, it was really weird. Like it's one of them ones where if one guy was working there, you were cool.
okay,
But it was good because I got really good mates with like Wingy and Andy Scott and all them kind of dudes. I just ended up just wheeling my bike in and it was just cool. Because like at first I would just go, I'll just skate and just skate the mini ramp, and then we'd go with Harry some days and we'd be like, yeah, no, you're cool, you can go in. So then we were fine, and then it was one of them ones where you just get so annoyed and just think, no, it's not bikes today, and you just like, we just travel for 2 hours to get to this, and you say no, it's just demoralising. But yeah, it was cool. But then obviously the skating scene was blowing up there with Andy Scott and stuff, and then Woody was another guy that was on the scene. He was in Northwich, so that is where I was going to college.
okay,
So I was going to college in Northwich, and then which had a mini ramp right by the college.
yeah, he talks about that in the thing I watched,
And it was so cool because literally like we would go to college, and then like you'd have 3 hours off, so we'd just go to the mini ramp.
Yeah.
Woody'd be there, I'd be riding bikes, and then like it was so cool. It was such a cool scene. And then, there was a lot of skaters there. But that was like, the train was right there. So I would get the train to there, get off, go to college. And then, but you could get on the train and then go to Manchester.
All right.
So then, like...
How far was that from Northwich to Manchester? Close?
Yeah, it's like 40 minutes.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, it's really quick train. So we would always... There was always people about. Do you know what I mean? It was always, and it's like I say to you, if you saw someone who airwalks or whatever,
it's something. Yeah, you asked the question.
Yeah. And so obviously Woody and all of them lot, and then obviously we then got to know them all in Manchester because obviously the shop, everyone, and then there was a skater called Femi.
Yeah, that's it. Bacanola.
Yeah, something like that. But John, he was another one that he made skating look phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember the tales. I think he lived in London for a bit, but I don't think I ever saw him. But I remember you guys having like stories about him. Yeah,
just the craziest of characters. And then like his mate called Chopper, who had really wealthy parents, and he had some crazy car, and Femi would be with him all the time, and everyone he'd be skating, and then Femi would skate, and everyone would stop and watch him because it was just like, holy shit. And then he would just have this air about him. He just made stuff look easy, and like we would go and ride street with him, and like it was just
what was
times.
Do you ever remember like Split, the days of like how busy that was in its boom days?
John, it was nuts.
I remember the stories, but I don't really know much about it.
Because obviously you got to bear in mind, like Warrington's gone at this point, so the only place where you can really buy mags, buy clothing.
Do you know why Warrington went?
I guess it all got like rejuvenated, the area, because I remember my mum having the office there, and then they moved after 2 years because it was like rejuvenation of the area. They all got knocked down and changed around. You know how these skate parks get built because it's super cheap. You're only on a 1 or 2 year lease.
Yeah.
And so that happened. So anyway, so Split is like the only place where everyone goes.
And who owned it?
I don't know. I never met the owners, I don't think. Yeah, I can't remember. They were never...
I hear crazy stories of that place, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just of it, like, selling, like, just the most ridiculous amount of skate gear, like...
Oh, I bet it did.
Yeah.
Because you imagine your catchment area is just huge. It is just
everyone's
huge.
coming into Manchester to buy...
Yeah.
And Manchester had a skate scene.
Yeah, you've got to bear in mind, I'm an hour away and I'm going in there every weekend. And, like, Woody and all them lot for Northwich, skateboard-wise, all of Jim and all them from Crew... They're all going to meet at Split Second. Split Sports. And we go in there, and I remember Harry going to us, I might have this time scale off. I remember Head First.
Okay, it's a couple of years later,
Head First it would have been. One of them.
Ride Like a Man was out before.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. And we had it on in a shop, and all the skaters were watching it. Everything, because everyone was like, "Whoa, this is unreal!" And it was so cool because it was like, no, there was none of that. Like, oh, you're a skater.
No divide. Yeah.
No, none. Because we were just all into the same stuff. We were into the same clothes, we were into the same music, and it was just like, and then like everyone started going up to Goshen, and it was just like everyone.
It was a scene.
Yeah.
It was just a scene. It wasn't a bike or skate scene. Yeah.
No, and it was just like, it was such a cool time. Now looking back on it, it was great because that's what everyone did.
And where was that shop based? Was that central Manchester, like downtown?
Yeah, like literally, like as close to town as it's right in the heart of town. You couldn't be anymore. Yeah. Like now, God knows what it costs to have a shop there. Yes,
I was disappointed. I never saw it really. So
and it was massive, John. It was massive, massive. And it's funny, like because that got a store not so far from it.
Oh really?
Yeah. Paul, he used to ride. Don't know if he still does. He owns now.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still owns it. Splodge, yeah.
And Harry's round the corner, isn't he, now?
Yeah. So, it's so mad because I messaged Harry not so long ago. Actually, we did a gig, Spotify gig, at Christmas time with Blossoms, and I was there for a week, and I hadn't been in Manchester for, honestly, I'm not joking you, for that amount of time for like maybe 20 years.
Right.
And it's nuts how it's changed. It's like, I kept saying to Emma, it's like, I remember when this was all fields. But it was like, I remember this when it was all mine, cotton mills.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And it was just mental because, I don't know if I'm jumping way in advance here, but there was Pipeline Skate Park got built.
Yeah, that's far forward, yeah.
Yeah. And that was another thing that brought Manchester back to life.
Yeah.
Because it was just weird how the Goshen thing just died down and then that
I think Goshen died because skating ramp died. Can you remember? It was at that time.
And then, it did. Yeah, because
there was before that though, Sheep opened, didn't it?
Yeah.
So when Split shut,
that was crazy.
Or was Split and Sheep open at the same time? Okay, so Split shut.
Yeah, so Chris and Harry opened Sheep, and they had the Sheep store, and that was mad. That was just mad. I remember one time, I felt so bad for him because like some gangster kids had come in with like guns or whatever.
The stories.
Just literally, and I got to the shop literally like half an hour after it had happened, and they took the whole lot. They had Stussy jackets, they had all really nice stuff. They just took the lot. And I was just like, what? How has that happened? And I think that happened a couple of times. Yeah. And it was just not sustainable to do that. And it's just like, they couldn't afford to have security.
That's crazy, yeah.
And it was like...
Where was that? Was they in some arcade or something at this point? Or was that...
They were in an arcade at one point, but they had a really nice shop at one point as well.
Okay. And that was like... So that was a streetwear shop in the early days of streetwear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was coming out.
Yeah. And I remember Harry getting stuff from America. He was getting stuff, really cool stuff. And he, Adidas shell toes you could get them at the store. Yeah, it was really, really cool stuff.
They printed their own stuff as well.
Yeah, and he was doing defunct stuff.
Team.
Yeah. And it was really cool because Harry was doing all this cool stuff. Made a video. He was doing all these really cool things. And I can't remember where we were riding at that point. Because there was Stockport Bones skate park at opened.
Okay.
We were going to Stockport. It was a mini ramp in, I think, another roller rink or something. But it was cool. It was.
Oh, that was the start of Bones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like.
What was the metal ramp that you guys used to ride?
Like an outdoor
was it a youth club or something? No.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. It just had this really thin metal sheet on.
Yeah, that's it.
And it had a wall ride, which was cool. But it was another indoor warm place to ride over the winter. So we would go there.
Nottingham Wheels as well was at this point. Remember you used to go there?
Yes. So Ian is on the scene then at this point.
Okay.
So we would go to Nottingham Wheels all the time. We did an aerial ad with Jeff Banks.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years after, I think, because I remember Grot Bags and a couple of the guys from like Scott Stevens and Birdman and Stuart King, I think, as well, right?
Yeah. So me, Ian, Stu, we did this advert in Nottingham Wheels.
Oh, that was in Nottingham Wheels?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The initial one.
Okay.
And and then they did another one with them guys.
Yeah.
I think down here.
Okay, there was two. I remember Ian being on one. I think it was on a video, and I remember Stu and those guys and Pinner guys being on one as well.
Yeah. And then I think we were there, and then I think that was my first cover, maybe. Shot at doing a nose bump.
Nose bump, maybe,
yeah, over that spine. And that was my first, that was a cover, right? Yeah. So that was my first cover ever, and I'm on a purple splatter paint.
Was it Pro Class?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah. Harry got it from somewhere, and he was like, yeah, take this. And then, it was cool. And it was like hammerite black.
I remember it, vividly.
Loads of like paint splatter all over it. And so that place was cool, and we rode that a lot. And then Nottingham weirdly had a load of cool stuff built. Like there was like a mini ramp in a place, I think it was Chilwell or somewhere like that. Had a really cool mini ramp built. And then obviously that was in there. And then that's when we met Jamie.
Okay.
I met Bestwick there, and it was cool because there was a vert ramp there.
But you were, before this, you started doing BFA contests.
Yeah, so that was Zach. Again, that was Zach.
Zach, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how come I'd never met Jamie at that thing, because I remember we went to a UK BFA thing, and we dragged the kick turn ramp up against the wall.
All right.
And Zach was doing fakey wall rides on it, huge, and they were going mad because we were moving the quarter pipes. And then Zach was like, "Fuck these guys." And it was like, you can imagine it, can't you? It was so good because Zach was like, he was having none of it, and it was so good because he was like, "Pull it in, help me pull it in." And then so we pulled it up against the quarter pipe, and then he was doing crazy fakey wall rides on this quarter pipe. But it was just literally a kick turn ramp.
Kick turn ramp, I remember
up against the wall. And he was doing, so we were doing wall rides on that, and they didn't like it. But I remember one of them contests, we got to Nottingham, and there was so many of us trying to get on the train. There was Greg Guillot, Zach, and we all went and got on the train, and then they chucked us off. And we were 10 miles from Alfreton. And
I think I was there.
Yeah, did you ride with us?
I was there, yeah.
We all had to ride.
That was the Champ of Champs in winter, deepest winter. We
all
came
had
up
to,
from London in the morning, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
And we all had to ride from the train station to
I remember,
fucking Alfreton. I remember just sitting there, and I watched the comp, and I really enjoyed it, but I was like, I'm leaving, because I do not want to do that again. I don't want to ride back in the dark. Because then I'll miss my train.
But I remember that story, yeah.
And then, so I went home early because I was like, this is fucking... And I got the train by myself because I was like, I don't want that shit to happen again. And then, I went there by myself, maybe. I definitely took the train because obviously I rode with them guys. But then, because I think Harry and them went to that.
Okay.
But I hadn't I met them guys at that point? Maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah... That was. I didn't do too many of them.
I remember. I think I've seen some footage of you riding a couple of the lesser known ones.
Yeah, there was one. I broke my leg at one.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I'd learned a foot jam drop in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Jamming my shoe in the front tyre and dropping in.
That was before anyone did it, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then I did a 540, put my foot out. Yeah, totaled my foot. And if you're seeing some of Steff's footage, I'm hobbling like crazy because I had this weird cast on it, and then I was because it was really handy because my mum was a nurse, so she was a trained nurse, so she got from her work, she brought home cast stuff.
Yeah.
So she taught me to put it in a bucket of ice. So she'd cut the cast off
all right.
every 2 days, cut the cast off, put it in a bucket of ice, for 20 minutes, take it out, massage it with this heat stuff, and then put a cast back on for me.
Get the blood flowing.
Yeah, and it was really really, really quick. And then like I went back after the 6 weeks, and they were like, "Yeah, you're good to go." And so I was like, so I could ride after that. But I shouldn't have been riding.
Yeah.
Because I was just, if I put it down ever so slightly, my ankle would. I lost all strength in my. Because, you know, this was a time when they just put a cast boot on you and you were like, see you in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, my mum helped me a little bit, but my tendons were just so stiff. I was just, like, hobbling. It was like, it didn't really hurt. It was
just not right, yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't right. So, it took a bit of time. And then, yeah, it was... So that was the last ever BFA contest I ever went to, I think. Because everyone was like... And it was like, Zach was like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
And then there was like the burning of the licence thing and all that.
Yeah, that was way earlier, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, that was 80s, yeah. But that kind of sparked... That was different people though in the BFA then. But yeah, kind of that definitely planted a seed.
Because Zach was all about it. Zach was like, let's fucking burn it. I was like, yeah, it was so... But you got to imagine, like, Zach was so influential to me because I really admire what Zach was doing. I liked his energy. If Zach told me, shit, we're burning our licenses,
throw mine in.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, Zach's doing it. Let's fucking burn it. Yeah, and then like Jim would fuel whatever Zach was doing. Jim would just, we're doing that.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Just because it would be so mad, and Jim would want to encourage Zach to do mental shit, and Chris would. But Chris would just be like, fuck off, Zach, we ain't doing that. But Jim would be like, "Oh, come on, let's."
Yeah, he would go. Egg him on.
Yeah, because Jim loved egging him on.
Well, he was good to egg on though, because he could get so fiery that you just talk him into doing something crazy.
He did so much
with it, like
so many mental things. Zach did so many mental things, and it was so cool. Yeah, I really appreciate Zach now looking back on it with adult eyes. All the shit that Zach did, and like the crazy stuff that he did, and like. Yeah, he was the main influence of making me do shit and going places and making me see the world as Zach saw it. Because Zach was travelling constantly.
Travelling Zach, that's what he was captioned in one of the.
It was. He literally travelled everywhere though, and he'd be up north. He'd be with Chris. Then he'd come to Manchester.
I remember when you guys used to tell me stories of like Zach would tell you like. It never rains down south.
Again, I fucking believed him.
Brilliant.
How do you mean it never?
South.
We never have rain like this. Because it would be like we'd be like riding outdoors and we'd stop because it was Manchester is bad for rain anyway. And like Zach, we'd be fucking pissed off because it stopped, and Zach would just go, "Wouldn't do this in London." And then like we'd be like, "What? No way!" And then like then Zach had convinced us to drive to Romford.
Yeah, that's it. That was what you used to say. It never rains in Romford. Basically. Like.
And then Zach, it would be pissing down. It would like rained all week or whatever. And then we'd get to Jim's and it'd be like Friday night, and Zach would go, "When we're raining at Romford, we should go to Romford." And we'd be like, "What?" And then Jim, being the instigator, and he had a car, and he'd be like up for it because why not?
Yeah, what else are we going to do?
Otherwise, we'd be trashing his flat because he was really young and he had his own flat, and it was like.
I remember like the crew was like it was solid, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it was carnage.
The crew of like you, Zach,
Jim,
Chris,
Harry,
Critch, Harry, Steff. I would put in there as well. Like,
Paul Davidson was around a little bit as well, the skater.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'd see him from time to time.
But it was like there's always like that scene was always whenever I'd go to something, that scene was always there. So.
And I think I don't know what year this was, but Zach had convinced us to go to Romford, and we went to Romford. I bent my bar, so I was like, "What are these?" I got some bars off Jim's old bike or something, and then Zach really hurt himself. I think he
done his knee.
First time
that was when he done his knee,
And I just remember him screaming, and I was too scared to go over there.
Done his ACL, didn't he? That was the first time.
It was, you know, when you hear someone in immense pain, and I was too scared because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You don't know what you're going to see there as well,
Yeah, and I just was like, it's only us there. There was me, Jim, Zach, Chris and Harry and Steff, maybe.
Kids.
Yeah, and I was too young to be trying to deal with that. Like, I think that was was one of the instigators of me learning, like asking my mum, what do I do in that situation? Because I felt so helpless, and I was like, I just wanted to step away from it, because I was like, I can't help him, and I don't want to go there and be like, I can help you, because I can't. Like, I don't know. And I felt so helpless, and I was like, you just don't want to see your mate get hurt, because I was like, it was just ruining everything for him. Like, this is his world. Like, and it was like, what are we going to do? I can't even remember what happened. I think we took him to the hospital or whatever, and it was bad.
Because that was when he hobbled around on crutches for a good while after that, didn't he?
A long time, yeah. Yeah, and he couldn't ride. Yeah. And I just felt for him so bad. And then I think he was working up north somewhere.
Was that must... Okay, and then... So then, like, after that was around the time that the King of Vert series was on, wasn't it? Can you remember that?
Yeah.
The UK King of Vert.
That was incredible, wasn't it? That was
1990, wasn't it?
1990, was it?
So yeah.
So yeah, there was.
So now you're a regular in the magazines at this point.
Yeah. So which one? I was hurt for one of them.
Was it Bath? But there was two Mansfields, which I didn't realise until recently.
Yeah, so
there was an outdoor Mansfield.
Yeah, there was one at the
Mansfield.
Yeah, there was one at like the leisure, but there's like a theme park there, like a weird theme park.
There was a Southsea. Yeah, that might have been one you was. That was the first round was in Southsea.
Yeah, maybe.
That might have been one you was injured for, and then there was Mansfield. I think there was maybe 4, and then there was Bath, which was the one. It was in like Shepton Mallet or somewhere weird.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. I remember that one. Went to that one.
Which was the last one. And
the Hoffman
the Flare one was like September or something. Yeah,
we were definitely at that. We all went to that. I remember watching that.
Because Zach rode that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. Hoffman was insane there.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking we were quite good on a vert ramp at that point, and then I was thinking, I watched Hoffman.
Oh, it was still like. Yeah,
we were pissing in the wind. We were nowhere near. He was going 8 feet higher than everybody else.
It was ridiculous. It just
It was like he was from another planet.
And not only was he was that well, I think he that was just his mode. Full stop. He was putting it all on the line
every time he touched around. I remember he got there and he hadn't even warmed up. He had shorts on. And he just put a helmet on and goes, I'll feel the ramp out. And he must have, and everyone was like, how is he going that high? And all he was doing was pumping it, feeling the ramp. Yeah. And he must have been going 10 feet. And like, he was chilling. And then once he put his pads on, it was like outrageous. He was doing 540s higher than everyone could even air. He was doing all his tricks 4 feet higher, maybe 8 feet higher.
Yeah.
Than everybody else, and even Jamie was. For the time we could remember Jamie going super high on quarter pipes and all that. Even Jamie was going nowhere near what Matt was at. It was just crazy to see. And then, what was that? 90.
He did that. I never remember. Forget he did like a 900. Because that was the big trick, right? The 900 was like,
and he lands a bit funny,
yeah. But he didn't really. He shouldn't have pulled it, but he pulled it. Like he lands too soon and just slides in somehow.
Yeah.
And but that was like, that had probably never been done in the UK. Well, it had never been done in the UK at that point.
Not like that.
So that was the trick.
Yeah.
And no one. And then people thought he might try a backflip after that.
Yeah, because get that go would come out.
Yeah. And then Invert. It was on the front of Invert as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Invert then, but.
Yeah, and I just remember the Coca-Cola ramp he'd done the flip fakie on, and then everyone was like, "Shit, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it?" And then he did a feeler one, didn't he? And then
he did a few, didn't he?
Yeah, and then everyone was like, "What is going on? Yeah. What is going on?" And then he pulled the flare, and the whole place just went mad. You could have torched the vert ramp at that point.
Yeah.
It was just like, this guy's just come and annihilated it. What is going on? This guy is just unreal. So that was 1990, yeah?
That was 90, yeah, for sure.
Wow. That's crazy. because that elevated everything.
Yeah.
Once he come to England, riding went through the roof, didn't it? Jamie's riding went through the roof. Everyone.
Yeah.
There was that Ollie
Matthews.
Ollie Matthews. Yeah. He was going super high. But like, by that South Sea of the next time, everyone was killing it. Jerry was riding insane at that point. So what year would that have been? 91.
Well, the South. There was a Ryder Cup as well.
Oh, Spitalfields.
Yeah.
Was that how many years after that was? Because that was bonkers as well.
I think that was maybe either 1 or 2 years after, because they all came over in Hoffman gear then, didn't they?
Mirror was riding.
McCoy was there.
McCoy,
and if everyone had levelled up, if you remember, everyone had levelled up.
Jamie was killing it at that point.
That was near the King of Concrete.
Yeah.
They were both close together, the duration, the time between the two.
Because I remember, like, we were riding the like street course bit
at Spitalfields.
Yeah, we weren't really touching the Vert. We were all there, and we were watching everything that was going down. But the Vert riding was just insane. Yeah. And Matt showed me a picture that he had of the mega ramp, and I was like, "That's fake."
Yeah, I remember that going round. That floated around that contest.
Yeah, and Matt showed it me, and I was like, "Let me see that." And it was right as Photoshop had just started to appear, and I was like,
"Well, Photoshop hadn't really appeared, but it was like that just did not look real." So I remember seeing that and being like, "Oh, it's not real."
No, and I was like. And
it was black and white, wasn't it? The photo was black and white.
And he had it on a bit of paper like that.
Yeah.
And he showed it.
That floated around everyone at that event, and people were just like, "Oh no, I don't think that's real." Like, we just thought it was a wind up, even though he was going 15 foot out of that round. Like, no, but that's too much.
Yeah. No, that's too outrageous. There's no way he's going 20 feet out of a 20-foot ramp or whatever it was. And I think it was the next mag with the Hoffman ad in it, wasn't it? Everyone was like, "Oh dear God, he really is doing that." Because it was just like, and I remember the skaters all going, "What?"
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then like I was telling Woody and them about it, and they were like, "Let me see it." And then like that's when he showed me, and I think Woody was there, and a Wingy. I think there was a couple of skaters there, and they were like, "Nah, that's fake. That shit's fake." And then I remember the mag, and I'm showing them when we were at like some skate park somewhere, and I was like, "Look at this shit," and they were like, "Oh my God, it's real! It's real!" And we were like, "Yeah, it's nuts."
Yeah, that is fucking. It still don't seem real, to be honest. Like,
yeah, he posted a picture of or a little video of him riding it from back when that photo was taken. And I was just like, I messaged him and I was like, "Mate, that's whatever many years ago, 35 years ago." And it's like, it's still mind-blowing now. Like, there's not many things in BMX that are like, you think, holy cow, that's mind-blowing that people did back then, now. You know, like, and that's one of them.
Yeah, totally.
But, so what year are we in now? So we're in 90s. So, 95, I get on GT. Clyde.
Wait a minute. We've got a Patreon page, so if you could show us any support, we'd be most grateful. The link's below. A lot of work goes into these shows, so anything you could do would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Overall, with stuff that's up in the roof, we go back to 1976. Over time, they do tend to lean. Susceptible to collapse, shall we put it that way. I'm probably the only person in the entire country that's doing this.
Previouspage.co.uk. Print ain't dead. We missed a couple of major peaks.
Go on.
So 90 Backyard Jam starts happening.
Does it?
Yeah, in 91.
Okay, yeah.
But then, like, so you rode the first one of them, right?
I rode all of them.
Yeah, you was there. Yeah. And then, like, so you had that video part when they started making the video.
Okay, yeah.
With,
what year was that then? With Mark Richards?
I think it was 93 or 94. 93. That was 93.
Was it?
So after all that stuff of like Spitalfields, Ryder Cup, and all that, like you can kind of, from looking back at it now, you can kind of see BMX is kind of making a little return, but you couldn't really see it if you was in it then, could you? It still seemed like super.
No, it's mad.
Society.
Even like now, when you look back on it, it still makes me laugh now when people say, "Oh, it's dead now," and I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I can go to a skate park and I can, like today, there was 15, 20 people at the bowl. That was not a thing. That was not a thing. And and like you say, Spitalfields was probably pretty big at that time. Yeah. But it's like you say, it still seemed you had to be in the know to even know about it. It was like a rave or something back in the day.
Yeah, totally.
It was like, you had to know about it, you had to do all this stuff and to even know where these things were happening. So it didn't seem to me that it was getting bigger. But
but it was. Yeah, you could, well, I thought the same for the next for however long. I didn't think it was getting bigger, but when you look back now, you can tell it was slowly growing. Yeah, and then definitely. Like, how did the video part for that? What was that? Unlock Your BMX or Behold the Wonders Never Cease? Which one was that, Kim?
I can't remember them because I remember them annoying me because I was like, I want to film it up here.
So it was House of Pain, wasn't it? Oh, so your part was filmed at Leon C because you used to go down for the week, right? Yeah. Leon C and Hastings.
Yeah, and it annoyed me at the time, thinking I've got to go all the way down there to film. If I want to film something, I want to do it up here. Yeah, because it was like, because you got to remember at that point, everyone would give shit to anyone that was doing stuff down south. It was like you would. War of the Roses, you know what I mean? You were letting the side down if you weren't keeping it in the north. And so I did that. Yeah, it was good because Ian was another good motivator at that point. Yeah, making us, Leon C, let's go down there. Okay. Yeah, and then I think that was the time. Ian had this like little rascal van. I remember going, going everywhere with Ian in that crazy little van, and then. Within a couple of years, Ian moved to Hastings, and that was a crazy time because they started. There was a Bradlands contest.
That's right. Around the same time,
Yeah, and then I think that was probably the time when I started wanting to ride with Jerry a lot. Okay, driving down. Yeah, and then. Hanging out with Jerry because he'd go to that Bracknell ramp. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I went to go and ride with Jerry at Bracknell ramp, and then Leon C. Obviously, you guys would go there. Yeah, and it was always a cool scene. It was always good. And John Barnett had that crazy van.
Oh, he had the blue van with the bars on the front.
Yeah, and then like we would go and stay in that, sleep down there for a week, just riding the park every day.
I think that you guys stayed there during the Ryder Cup week, I remember.
Did we?
Yeah. He turned up in that van, and I think you guys had been to Leon C. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, probably because we would stay there and just ride every day. Yeah, so we did that, and then Ryder Cup was. I don't even remember what. Yeah, it was really good, the Ryder Cup, but just remember seeing the Hoffman stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of people didn't walk away from that contest. There was a lot of damage done that.
Hoffman messed himself up.
Yeah. Jamie
did.
Jason Davis.
Oh yeah.
Did a fakie and hung up front wheel.
See, your memory of this stuff.
No, I remember that was like, because I remember that was like rock till you drop that contest. Like it was like, boff, he's done. Boff, he's out.
But then it got a bit like that though, John, didn't it? It
got ridiculous. It got
gladiator
dangerous.
shit. It was just
hang on,
crazy.
If you land upright, you'll be all right. And
keep your rubber side down.
Yeah,
and it was just it got crazier and crazier. So then, what came after that then? After
that was like that video part. And sort of the sort of new dawning of newer stuff, like because that video part had House of Pain soundtrack on it, so it was like that time period. That was like a hot hot track for that.
Yeah.
And then like the backyard jams and videos and like it kind of got a deeper sort of subculture to it. Really, it was more. Everyone had grown, so
we were all adults at this point.
Their taste had grown, and then like someone. If before this, if someone ridiculed you for riding a BMX, you'd get angry, or I would. Yeah. And then like, but at this point, it was like, oh, whatever. We'd passed that stage of like being affected by people trying to belittle you for riding BMX.
Yeah. Because I think that's even to this day. Like we've had it for all of our life, where people went, "You're not too old for that."
Yeah.
That it's nil and void at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so you're right. The culture had changed. There was definitely the culture was starting where, actually, this is quite cool.
Yeah.
You know, there was skating and BMX. These kids are actually quite cool. They're into cool music.
And it didn't seem like skating was a little bit cooler than us at the time. It seemed like we was just like...
We were all together.
Level pegging,
Yeah. The clothes that these guys are into, you know, like the shoes that these guys are into, it's all
the style of the riding and
the music,
the look of it, and it was all leveled up,
it just definitely, the backyard jams were insane at that point. So the ones where they were in Hastings, where there was the vert ramp and then the mini ramp behind it.
That was the first one,
Yeah, Jerry was insane on that. Going, and he's wearing Hild's glasses with no lenses in it.
10 feet out of that tiny little ramp.
Yeah, it was just insane, doing everything. And that was really cool time. And then, obviously, Stu had the shop on the seafront. It all worked, didn't it? And then, so then there was that. And then there was just such a cool contest. And it was by the sea, and it was just, it was really cool. So then, what year would that be then? Now?
That was the first one. That was 91, I think. Okay. And then after that, we had Fuzzy and DMC came, which was when you had that video part. Was that?
Yeah, and that had the massive chasm thing. Ian jumped that, right? Did the toboggan over it?
No, the one on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So the one in the middle.
Oh, that was the middle one, was it?
Yeah. And then after that was Mad Dog and Keith Traynor was the year after that, was 93.
Is that the one Mike did really well at? Canning?
Was the first one, Not the first one, the second
one.
With the dirt. The first one at the track.
Yeah.
Because before that it wasn't a track, was it? It was just up on the ramps.
Yeah.
Like fly up jump.
Yeah.
And then that year, so that's 93 was the year of you doing the... with a video part of Cypress Hill, and the raving in the shop, describing the ravers.
Yeah. And then, so what year was it when Clymer flipped the jump?
94.
That was mad. Okay, so so at this point it's really accelerating, isn't it?
Yeah. It's off now, isn't it, on its own legs?
Because So what year was I got on GT? So that
94. So
94.
94 was when you.
So we were all got on GT because Stu was like the team manager, right?
Yeah. Did you have a bike sponsor before that?
No. I'd never had I remember getting a whole bike in the box, right? And I building it up and thinking, holy shit. Because I never really run for brakes.
GT, yeah?
Yeah. And I had a Pro Freestyle Tour in Chrome. And I was like, it took me back to the Campbell Can Air. I was just like, oh, this is the bike. And then, that was so cool times. And then 94, so then...
This is when the flip race is going as well, isn't it? Everyone's flipping. Everyone's trying to be first to flip.
Yeah. So everyone's... Because obviously we see Matt do his thing, and then we're all trying to learn them onto... I had straw at home into the barn off a kicker, and then I kind of got over, because I was just doing it over and over, and then where the hell did we go? And we literally learned it. And then I went to Radlands and I was doing it. They had a jump there at Radlands. They had a kicker.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and we were all doing it there.
The mattresses, remember that one contest?
Yeah, everyone was doing them at that point. And then like Jerry refused, flat out refused. He had like a cool helmet on, and he was doing like one-footed inverts.
Yeah, that's
like,
it. He was on GT as well though at that point.
He had a dyno.
Oh, that's right, Chrome Dyno. Yeah.
Chrome dyno. And I remember we went to Harrow, and Jerry was absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
He was doing stuff that was so good. He was like McCoy. He was doing like the nose pick on the coat, you know, blunt nose pick, and then fakey nose wheelie down the transition. He was doing everything first try, and he was unreal. We were like riding like the moguls. He was just doing everything. Like he was absolutely on fire at this point. He was just bang, 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 and he looked so good. And it, like we were all on GTs, and I was like, damn, I should have had a dyno. Like Jerry made the dyno look so cool. But then that's what it's about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just made it cool, and we were all like into it. And like Ian had it, I had one, and Jerry had one, and then I can't remember who else had one. But yeah, that was
Keith Dooley. Maybe was he on at the same time?
Could have been, yeah.
I can't think of anyone else who was freestyling on at that point.
No. And then, it was really on. But then what happened then is the first element of Wakefield skate park.
That's right, yeah.
And then like we would just go in there all the time.
That was when the new flux of indoor skate parks happened up north, and they were just popping up everywhere, weren't they? And you
Rampworks opened.
Were Wakefield, you guys basically made that your local, right?
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah,
because I remember you riding the Vert.
Yeah, we pretty much lived there all the time. And then there was like Craig, Kev, Wolfman. We were there all the time. Literally every day we were there. And like we would just make it happen, just ride there every time we could. And that was one of the first skate parks where it didn't matter if you've BMX'd or skated.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Because there were inline skaters that owned it, and it just was insane. It had everything. And there was a vert ramp, but it was a nice vert ramp to ride.
It was a smaller vert ramp.
Yeah, and it was really fun to ride. Jamie used to come up and ride it all the time. Jamie was unreal on it. And then, we just... They literally give us free rein to build the jump box section, and we made it like a rhythm section.
Yeah, I remember,
And then like the big box jump, and then it was just crazy times at that point. And then like I was like, damn, we got to build this at the Boneyard. And then like, because the Boneyard had just once I got on GT, the first incarnation of the Boneyard happened, where they built all these ramps that were just a bit too wacky, and
I remember it.
And then like. So it was random because Ed Wally was doing this thing, and he put me into this guy called Dave Tanswell, who's like owner of the castle. So basically the king owns the castle there, and it's one of his castles, and it's really well maintained. They've got a lot of money. It's shooting range. It's all that kind of higher echelons weirdness that goes on. Anyway, they own this like warehouse, and they were like, well, if you do shows for us, for the local people that are coming in, dignitaries or whatever, you can build whatever you want in here.
Oh, no way.
And then, so I was like, okay. So I did this demo there. Owain came, and luckily Jamie came, and I was like, Jamie, you got to build some ramps here. You got to get in on this.
What was in there at this point?
It was in another little building, but it was just like,
it
was just crazy ramps that someone had built.
I think Owain talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And they were just too wacky, and it was so good because it made flip fakies amazing, because it was like it was like a 7 foot, 8 foot quarter pipe maybe, but the transition was so mellow, and then it went whoop like that. But you could do the best flip fakies. So
you could land on loads, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, and you could just do it, and it was like, oh, this is perfect for doing flip fakies. So I ended up just doing that. And then they said, oh, this is great. Oh, we've got this warehouse here. We're going to make this bigger. And then I was like, oh, well, this guy, you need to speak to that guy about building ramps, because he built his mini ramp in his garden. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. He's the guy. He's the guy that needs to build this. And then he got involved with it. And then, he ran with it. Jamie just built, and it was so cool having Jamie there because we would say, oh, Jamie, let's build the jump. I was going, with GT, I was going to America and I was coming back, the box jump's too small, Jamie. We've got to go big. We've got to go real big.
Yeah.
And I remember building this box jump and Jamie going, it's too big. And I was like, it's not. It's perfect. It's perfect. We were jumping it and everyone was like, this is way too big. But then within
you climb
6 months, everyone was like, this box jump is amazing. We built.
That was the one in the middle.
Yeah. And it had big quarter pipes either end.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it had the driveway. And then that was how that was happening. And then Jamie built this wall ride. I was like, let's make a wall ride, transition wall ride. But he was like, no, it's got to be for skating. And I was like, oh, no. Like, this bank. He drew it to me, and I was thinking, he's nuts. That's not going to work. It's going to be shit. And it was like literally transition at the bottom. Then it was like a bank, and then to the wall, but with like a 2 foot deck. And it was like the best wall ride ever.
Yeah.
And it just worked so good. And it was like, do you remember? Is it bike? I'm skipping ahead here. I think it was like bike 98 or whatever. Do you remember the bike shows?
Yeah.
And there was a banked wall, and it was perfect.
Bank to wall.
Yeah,
I remember it. Yeah.
Joe Rich did a lot of stuff on it, but that was like perfect. And it was like
you wanted that.
Yeah, and it was just perfect because, and then obviously when we had that, and then I went to that bike show, I was so lucky because I was like, I'd already had that.
Yeah.
And then like I could do wall ride to bar spin. It was like having a quarter pipe you could do all your tricks on. And it just worked. And it was crazy that Jamie had this influence.
Idea,
Yeah, he was like a skate builder, but really, he built amazing bike stuff.
So it was just a bank to wall, but like with a tranny at the bottom to send you up there. Nice.
Yeah,
right?
it was perfect. It was perfect. Yeah. And then by this point, Owain's coming into the mix. So it's like, Owain's still a crazy young kid, but like he's getting like grown-up bikes.
Yeah.
So he gets a GT. He goes, check my GT out. And then like I was like, Owain, it's massive. And then like we tried to sort it out for him, and then like he got it. But you could instantly tell with Owain, it was like it was on.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah, from
the minute, and I was like, so he was always a bit too young at first, and then he was still way too young. We were taking him. He was way too young to be doing the shit with us.
Experiencing that stuff.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been seeing what was going on, but he was with us.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, and his mum was so cool with it, because there were so many times I'd take him back and thinking, oh dear God, the shit he's seen. He says to his mum, but he was so cool, and then his mum was so cool, and she got it, and she was like, if he came back and he was hurt, or he was always cutting his face, Owen. I don't know how he did it. Like, I remember seeing him one time. We were at the Boneyard, first incarnation, and his face was shredded. And I was like, what have you done? And he was like, oh yeah, I fell off, and like, but he was he bashed it off. It was fine. Yeah. No, didn't slow him down one bit. And then he said to me, he goes, I'm going to Woodward. And I was like, what, Woodward? And he's, yeah, I'm going to Woodward. And then his mum took him to Woodward.
Yeah, he told me the story, yeah.
Did he tell you about he had to have the Dave Mirror Adidas shoes, yeah? And they've got to be 4 sizes too big for him.
No, I didn't tell me that.
And we kept calling him Ronald McDonald because he had these crazy Adidas. I think they must have been wrecked. And we were like, Owen, what are you doing? Them shoes are like way too big. But he had to have it. He was like, he'd been sold. He'd seen Dave Mirror, he'd seen Ryan Nyquist. He was the dream had been told to him. He was in. But I know I'm skipping ahead.
He probably didn't have he was probably so small that he had to buy a size big because they didn't sell them that small wherever he was. You know?
They
only sold adult ones, and he was a kid, So.
But I do remember him coming back from Woodward and thinking, oh my God, he's
something new. Yeah.
Yeah, he just and it was so cool to be around like them dudes at that time, because it was just he was another big instigator in getting me to do stuff, and it was like He was another person.
It's coming from a different direction now as well.
Yeah, it's fully coming. It's fully coming from a new direction, and then Alistair comes onto the scene as well at that point.
And a similar thing with him as well, right?
Yeah, and he come from a motocross background, and it was insane how quick he learned stuff. And he was like, because obviously we had the Boneyard, so then he was like accelerating and like what he was learning and all this stuff. He was just, it was incredible to see, and it was really inspiring to be around, because it was like, I need to.
You've got to try and keep up.
Yeah, I wasn't. Now looking back at it, I wasn't an old guy at this point, any stretch of the imagination. But I felt old because I was like, these kids are mad young.
Yeah.
They're like 13, 12, 13.
And they're just learning so fast. Yeah, that's what
like,
happens.
It was literally every time I see them, it would like they would learn 10 new things.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh yeah, I need to keep up. But the Boneyard was helping that, instigate that, because obviously they were like. Really,
yeah, of course.
It accelerated it on a huge.
The Boneyard and those two guys all worked for each other, didn't they? So that take one out, and it probably slowed down something. So
yeah.
What about like GT? What was the story with GT? Like, what did you have to do for them?
So yeah, that turned into hell, really. So, and everyone was like, "Why are you quitting GT?" So I was doing that, and then Bart called me up and said, I'm setting up GT Europe. I'm going to pay you really good money. All I need you to do is come over and do shows. And at that point, I'm thinking, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Go to Europe every week. And I was getting flights from Europe. Do you remember Graham? Baby's Head.
Yeah. Graham Smith. Yeah,
Graham. He worked at BA in Manchester, and I would go and meet him and buy tickets off him each week.
No way.
And then, like, I would fly to Holland. Bart would pick me up, and then I'd do demos. And it was amazing. For the first 6 to 8 months, it was amazing. So every weekend, I would go to a different country. We'd do demos. It would be me, Stefan Prantl, and Lionel Cardoso.
Okay.
We'd do demos at different places around Europe, and it was amazing. We got to ride, but then after 8 months of doing that, and it was cool. It was a lot of money at the time. It meant I didn't have to work, and it was like it was really cool, but it got monotonous, and it was just like I felt bad telling Bart, but because he was like, just come and do the shows. But I would come back to the Boneyard. Ali and Owain were like insane, and I just felt like, what am I doing? I'm turning into a circus monkey over here. Like, it's not. This is not cool. This is not cool. This is not.
It's getting sanitised.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to do this.
And at that time as well was probably like just as things were changing again.
It was.
So like newer stuff is coming and newer ways of doing stuff is coming, and you're coming back and you'll see it. You're seeing other people have learnt it.
Yeah, and I'm like going back to Wakefield and the Boneyard. So the guys at the Boneyard are accelerating. I go back to Wakefield, and like I'm only there in like maybe the weekdays where not many people are there, and I'm thinking I'd come back and they were like, oh, the weekend Jamie was here, this was here.
Stories, and
it's just like I'm losing grip of what's going on here. I'm like, and then I remember phoning Bart and going, I can't do it anymore. He's going, yeah, but we'll pay you more money. And I was like, dude, it's not about that. And then they were so weird about it. Like, had to send a bike back to them. Like, and I was like, this is so weird for these guys.
Yeah.
I was over it. And then I was like, I called Mason and I was like, I want to buy a standard.
I remember when you got the standard, yeah.
For me, standard was like so cool. It was like Rick Moliterno doing all the fakey stuff, Kurt Schmidt, and that Jim Reinster, is it?
Jim Reinster, yeah. He was a bit later, but yeah.
I just really liked that dude's, the whole thing, and I just really liked that whole vibe of how they were riding. Because at that point, obviously, with GT, I was going to America as well. I was going to the contests, and it was really cool. But I was like, shit, I'm gonna sacrifice all this. Am I doing the right thing? And I was just like, I am doing the right thing. I've got to get away from this stuff. It just wasn't cool. It just didn't seem cool.
Yeah.
And everyone was
no
like,
longer vibing. It was no longer doing it. Yeah.
And everyone kept saying to me, yeah, but you're gonna have to get a job, and that's not, like. But I was just thinking, I'm gonna have to get a job at some point. I don't care about getting a job. I'd rather enjoy hanging out with all these guys, and then it was back on.
Yeah,
it was back on going to Wakefield all the time, going to the Boneyard all the time, and it was just like, okay, I've got to get a job. No big deal. I'll get a job.
Yeah, I'll get a job, and I can still enjoy the rest of if I'm doing this job and I'm not enjoying this part of this, like doing shows, you might as well have a job.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't get into this BMX stuff to make a living out of it. That was never a consideration. I never thought I was good enough to make money out of it. I was just into it because it was the funnest thing I could ever do. And then so that happened, and then I got the standard. I was loving that, and then it was the bike show. I went to the bike show with Craig and Kev and all that, and we were at that. And then Stu said to me, "Do you want to ride for Hoffman bikes?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, yeah, definitely." And he was like, "Come down to the warehouse, build up a bike," and I built up a Debo at the time.
Was it green?
Yeah, green.
I remember it. Yeah.
Green. So
you quit GT and you're riding for. Well, you're not riding for. You just
Stuart offered me to ride for Hoffman bikes.
That's it.
And I was like, yes,
dream come true.
Yeah, no, and I really obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I was all about our brand, and then so then I do that, build up the bike, go back to Manchester, get a call from Grotbags, Paul, and he goes, "Do you want to do an interview?" So I'm like,
okay, yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do an interview. Yeah, I've got something to say. I've got a new bike, got all this. Paul was like, yeah, let's do it. So he comes up, we film load of stuff. It was really, really cool actually. He came up, shot photos.
In the full pipe?
Yes, in the full pipe.
Yeah.
That goes into another crazy story. But yeah, we did that interview, Paul shot the photos. Then the cover shot of me carving the full pipe. Then I got approached, this is as mad as it gets, from Coca-Cola, because they're like, "Hey, can we turn this into because the guy at the Pipeline Skate Park, God knows what, he was into some marketing company, and they were like, "Oh, we want you to do this on a Coca-Cola can." And I was like, "Sure." And then they got Sky Magazine down there, they shot a photo, I did an interview for Sky Magazine. Do you remember Sky was like nuts or whatever? There was Sky.
Yeah, there was Maxim and
that's it, exactly. And it was cheesy as hell. But anyway, I did an interview for them for this, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to take a photo of you for Coca-Cola." And I was like, "Wow, we're going to do a Coca-Cola ad." I was like, yeah, cool. So then I don't have an agent or anything, so I'm like, "Yo, how much am I getting for this?" "Oh, no, we're not paying you anything, but yeah, we just want to shoot the photo. Oh, we won't use it for much." And I was like,
"Yeah, it sounds dodgy."
Yeah.
You ain't doing nothing for Coca-Cola.
No one's getting. Yeah. You're sending down a full. Yeah.
Everyone's getting paid but me. Yeah. I'm taking the risk.
Yeah, and I'm risking. Yeah. So it ended up not going anywhere, but they hyped the hell out of it, and then like Coca-Cola were all about to turn it into a Coke can, the whole shebang. But that never happened. So yeah, that was a mad story that came about of it. But then it was really cool actually, because it just really propelled me to do stuff. And then I was doing more and more stuff, and then that's when the Red Bull show started. I was doing more Red Bull shows, and then I was doing Red Bull shows with Ali Khan's the skater, and his wife Lorna owned Radiator PR, which did Shave Your Style.
Oh, okay.
And then like she was so good to me, because she would go, "Oh, do you want to go and shoot a photo that it's just blank, but they'll pay you X amount. Go there. They want someone with a beard, and they can shave your style." Gillette. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So when shot photos, a silhouette of me air in a quarter pipe, they run it in ads in Ride and stuff like that, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is amazing." And then it just catapulted, and there was just more and more coming. And then this now looking back on it, BMX was on a boom. It was on a huge boom. And then like off the back of that, so Matt Yo had left GT, and he called me and he was like, I'm now working for a brand called 661.
I remember, yeah.
The pads company. How do you feel about doing a glove? And I was like, yeah, okay then. Yeah, glove, because I always wear gloves.
Yeah.
I designed it. Did okay. The glove did okay. First one did okay.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, yeah, that's done really well. We want to do another one with you. And now we've got a US team now. So we've got Corey Anastasio, got Stephen Murray, Jerry Bagley. And I was like, yeah, I know Corey and Stephen really well. I'm on vans with them guys. So yeah, it makes sense. So number 2 glove comes out. I did that. Just stupid things like shortening the little finger, making it tighter so it didn't need all the stuff on it. Then what the crazy thing that happened for me was nothing to do with me, but the glove goes ballistic.
Skins, was it still called Skins?
Skins too.
Okay.
Yeah, but has nothing to do with me. And I hold my hands up to this. Jeremy Clarkson was on Top Gear wearing them, fixing a car.
No way.
And they just went mad. And then Worldwide said, that show is huge.
Yeah.
And like, they sold bucket loads of them. Then they were in Halford. It was out of my hands at this point, but I wasn't saying no because I was like...
That's the idea.
Yeah. What, we're sold how many? And then they go, oh yeah, there's a check from Australia here for you for thousands. And I was like, what?
What happened? Do you remember how much you were getting per glove?
Yes, I do. 75p.
Oh, no way.
So Matt was going, what do you want? Because we can pay you like 250 a month to ride for 661.
Or royalty.
Or a royalty. And at the time, it probably worked, on the first one, it probably worked out.
Yeah.
And like, Matt calls me on the second one, was like, we got to talk about this glove situation. We want to go back to paying you just on a salary. I was like,
fee.
nah, man, we ain't doing that. And he's like, I understand, but I've got to ask you. And I was like, yeah, let's keep it as it is. But give it another 12 months and it died off. But then they were like, let's do a helmet, let's do this, let's do... But it was great.
They do a helmet, yeah?
Yeah. They did a helmet. And they were all okay.
Yeah.
But the second glove went ballistic. But I know, I'm not stupid. That was doing normal figures. But what sold it was Jeremy Clarkson, was doing one of them shows where he was fixing a car and he had my gloves on. And then suddenly they were in all the Halford stores, they went everywhere. Every bike shop in the country
That's
sold.
cool, you got that bump though, don't it? Like...
And it helped me massively.
Yeah, exactly.
It set me up really well and I was able to do cool stuff. And then off the back of that, obviously people was like, oh yeah, that sells. And then at that point, you know, I was riding for Hoffman bikes, wasn't really much, but it was great. I was part of that cool company on vans, getting great stuff from vans. Vans were getting great promotion. They loved it. Then I was getting bags from Eastpak and getting paid by a bag company, which seems insane in this time. Like, and then obviously
you can tell what how it was up now.
Yeah. And like, obviously Lorna from the PR company was like, oh no, he's your guy. He's on my books. Yeah. And it was just like, oh my God, this was just, it couldn't be any better. Nice. And then Baz was involved with it, and then I was just basically a Red Bull ambassador, which meant that they put the Vert ramp at every single festival. Every single one.
So you got to be Red Bull ambassador through Lorna?
I don't know how it... Look, Ali was full on. He was getting the helmet. Ali Khan's was getting the helmet. And then obviously we're doing a lot of demos through them. And then, they put me forward. And I was like, I didn't get the helmet, but I got all the perks of being on Red Bull. Which was... It was amazing. For the time, it was unreal. I was getting a lot of money to do demos. I was getting paid ridiculous money. Like, I would have had to work like a month to get what I would earn for the weekend doing shows like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we were doing shows on a really good Vert ramp, and it didn't feel like we were doing demos. Yeah. Because
you were just riding. Yeah.
We were riding, Baz was riding, and then we got Baz, and then Baz got on Red Bull, and then obviously he was doing all of the shows with me. And then and then they started doing the Vert series, and it was just like, looking back on it, it was just an
Yeah,
amazing time. And then like Snickers got involved, so they did the Snickers
The
Soul Bowl, and that was amazing. And Snickers would just they ended up sponsoring the Backyard Jam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was just like these companies just had crazy money to chuck at it.
Throw. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, looking back on it now, it doesn't seem real.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was like,
what about? So how did the Vans thing happen though?
Paul Roberts.
Oh, it was Grot Bags.
Yeah. He was a TM at the time.
Okay.
And he was like, I'll put you forward and then see what you think. And I was like, yeah. And obviously that just
snowballed. Didn't have a shoe sponsor before that. You
no.
on Airwalk, no?
No. Kind of, me and Ian, when we went to Oklahoma, Kim Boyle had given me some Airwalks and stuff like that, which was really nice, and there were shoes. But Paul was giving me the legit deal.
Yeah, he was giving you the proper.
Yeah, it was a proper deal, and it was like that really escalated with Vans, because they were like, I was doing everything. I say this to all the riders now: turning up, you don't even need to do the craziest tricks. A lot of these PR companies, all they want you to do is turn up on time and do what they ask. Just all they want is you to do something cool.
Yeah.
And it was just, it literally was that. And Vans were really happy on it. And we ended up doing Blue Peter. We ended up doing a load of cool things.
I don't remember it, but what did you do on Blue Peter?
We taught the presenters how to do tricks on a ramp. So there was me and Baz, and then Carr and, what was his name?
Was that where the TV presenter did it? What's his name? Is that who you're trying to think of?
Yeah. And he drops it in each shit.
No, I'm thinking of the guy who was on Blue Peter.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't think of it.
I'm a bit embarrassed. I don't know.
No, it's bad.
He had the shop as well.
That's right,
He had Wi-Fi, didn't he?
Yeah. I feel so bad because I used to speak to him all the time. Anyway, so that propelled him. It was just great. It was just great doing all these cool things and doing all of the festivals. Like Red Bull, this is so mad that it even happened. So, sounds cheesy, but do you remember the song "Heaven Is a Half Pipe"? OPM, I think they were called, the band.
Don't know it, but
it's not your
familiar,
bag.
yeah.
Believe me, it's not your bag. Anyway, so they did this song called "Heaven Is a Half Pipe," and so they were huge at the time.
English or American?
American.
Okay.
So then we're doing these shows with them. We do Leeds and Reading, and then so we've done all these shows with him, and then because he would come on the deck of the ramp and go, "Heaven is a half pipe," and we'd be airing around him. Okay. But the crowd would go, "Drop in," and then so we're all like, "No, don't do that." And he's going, "Nah, last night at a tour, I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop in," because he'd pump a little bit at the bottom, and we were like, "Don't drop in." I remember Pete King then going, "He needs to drop in." I'm thinking, no, he doesn't.
We're dropping on a bike or a board?
On a board.
Oh, right,
on a proper Red Bull Vert ramp. So we're talking big ramp.
Gutsy, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're at Leeds Festival. We'd all done a show. Baz had to crash. It was bad, but he was there. "Heaven is a half pipe." Yeah. The crowd, drop in. He grabs, I don't know, Dave Allen's board or Pete King's board, gets a board, and he puts it to the cobra, and I'm just thinking, no. And I just remember Pete and Dave laughing, going, "Yeah, drop in," with the crowd, drop in. And he just goes, he might as well just dived off the ramp, onto his head, onto the flat. He just literally body checked the thing. He's literally on the flat bottom.
Still had the mic?
Yeah. No, I don't know if he had the mic, but it was. I remember the moment. It's got to be. I've searched it, but I can't find it.
Okay.
But I'm sure you can find it somewhere. But yeah, it was so like, oh no. It was just a showstopper, and everyone was just
quiet, yeah?
You could hear a pin drop. The poor guy just maimed himself in front of like 30,000, maybe more, 60,000 people. And it was just, it was bad. It was so bad. But yeah, there was like moments like that. And then after that, Red Bull then did their Vert series and took it round the country. Do you remember that?
Don't remember that, no.
Yeah, so then we were teaching like kids about riding ramps and skating ramps. and it was amazing. They took us south where we did one in Wales, and then we did one, and then they had a full-on contest in Nottingham. They built the ramp and the roof over it, and good prize money, and that I
don't even remember.
it was crazy. And they gave us all bike bags. They got Eastpak to make us bike bags, and we got these Red Bull bike bags, and it just was on that trajectory.
It was up and up and up.
But again, like you were saying, it's like it never seemed like it was. It just seemed like this.
It was because the steps were so small to get there that you didn't notice. You know, that's what happens, isn't it? You just you get one sponsor, then someone else wants to sponsor you, and then another one, and then another one, and another, and you don't really, because it's just gradual. You just think, oh, well, that's what's happening, and it's happening to like 10 of your other mates as well.
Yeah. And then I remember it was going so well at that point, and then I went to Austin, Texas, and at this point I could afford to go to Austin for quite a long time. Like a few weeks at a time, and I went to Austin for one of them Austin contests. Do you remember Joe and Ruben were killing it? Like Taj did like his crazy wall ride.
Indoor ramp.
Yeah, indoor skate park.
I can't remember what it's called, with a big mini ramp.
Yeah,
the wall ride.
They had a vert ramp in there as well. Yeah. Well, I shot a photo.
Scott was there, wasn't he?
Scott was there, yeah.
FBM and T1.
Yeah. It's huge, and I shot a photo. I can't even remember who it was with. Mulligan, maybe. Anyway, ended up going on the cover of Transworld, and for me that was huge.
What was the photo?
Hand plant.
I remember the photo.
Yeah. And it was really, really, really cool. For me, it was just like you shoot cover in England. It was just such a monumental moment for me, and it was amazing. But it's like in America, you put that on steroids.
Yeah.
And it was like Vans loved it. 661 were like, oh my god, your thumbs over it. You couldn't really see it, but they were like, it's 661 gloves on the cover of Transworld, and it was just like Vans. Jerry Badders was like, you've got the cover of Transworld, so cool. That Vans give me a bonus, and I was just like 661 were like, give me a bonus, and I was just like, this is mad. Get a cover over here.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just like, it was so nice. And then I got a really nice message from Ralph Sinisi, because I had an animal t-shirt on. And then he was like, that was so cool, wearing an animal shirt on the cover of Transworld. And I was like, I was just...
Yeah, just there doing it.
Yeah, and I no thought had gone into whatever I was doing. I was just doing the hand putt because I was riding vert all the time. I liked riding... The vert ramps just became so normal to me. Like, the big ones felt really nice to ride, and it was just like... Yeah, again, but this is my history with Zach still goes. Like, Zach was a huge instigator of getting me on this.
That's
stuff.
crazy.
And Zach flew us. He was going, "Do you want to do this show out in Taiwan?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was like, "The ramp will be massive. We'll go out there. We'll be in Taiwan for a week, and it'll be the biggest crowd you've ever seen." And I was like, yeah, Zach, yeah. And I feeling so bad now saying that, because Zach was so good to me, and so he always had my back. Like, you want to do it? He made me a lot of money, like hooking me up left, right, and centre. It was always cool to do it with Zach. And we went there, and I was like, holy shit, Zach, you were not bullshitting. This crowd, you could not see, and it was for Nokia phones. And like, they had a snowboard jump, huge half pipe. They were flying in like skaters from all over the place. Riders, I think they had like Matt doing it, me and Baz, Zach, Akeem, and like, I can't remember, another vert rider, Australian guy, I think.
Yeah.
But they wanted people from all over the world.
Tim Wood, maybe.
Tim Wood, mate, it could have been, And like, it was just mad. And I was like, Zach, you were not lying. This is the biggest crowd I've ever seen. And I like, it was mad. And we were doing demos, and Renton Miller was there, and then we came back from that, and then we did another Red Bull tour, and it just felt like we were going,
from one to the other,
back to back to back, and it was just amazing time, and it never felt like it was a chore, and it felt like we were all doing this together, and it was like, I never felt like
GT, like the GT thing turned into. Like,
no, it never felt like that. It never felt like it was sapping,
flowing.
The fun out of it. It was always fun, and it was like we would always go and ride a skate park. So say we were doing a demo in like Portugal or whatever, we would go to the local skate park, ride that skate park, because it was not rigorous where we'd have to do 50 shows a day.
Yeah.
It was literally, you got one at 1 and one at 7 at night. And like you've got all day.
Enjoy yourself,
and like they didn't care that we were off riding different skate parks, or as long as you didn't get hurt and you couldn't do the demo, they didn't care. And like, it was just mad. It was amazing time.
That's good.
Yeah, and then so
what about that cover? Was that pulled, that hand plant?
yeah, but I'd always do it like a foot drag type thing.
I've seen one on recently. So did you ever manage to get to ride out with all everything on? Okay.
Urban Games.
Oh really? Yeah.
Urban Games, yeah. So there was a quarter pipe Urban Games. It was a mental Urban Games. Fids was killing it.
The one with a big quarter, in the right hand corner.
Yeah, and I did it perfect there.
Oh, really?
And I got it down. I got it down to the point where I was you know, like how they do tail whips now, where they
you kind of grip your
they're gripping the bike.
Yeah.
Like I should say, bar spins, not tail whips.
You're gripping the
cranks.
Yeah. Your legs are locking in.
Yeah. So and I'd learned because do you remember how Primo cranks started when they went out of was it titanium crank arms or no?
Chromoly.
No, they did
aluminium ones.
Yeah, but they did a crazy alloy one that was they were hollow.
Okay.
Yeah, and
hollow
they had
bites.
hollow bites. That was it. And they had a seam down the crank arm. Do you remember?
Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah, but they were super grippy. Like you could really grip with them, and it was just like, this is
something for your feet to hold on to.
Yeah, literally, this is what it's made for.
Because there's one I watched. It might be it's maybe a bike show, where you hand plant and you come down and you ride out, but your foot's
dragging.
Yeah, and it's like virtually like it's like
because
how close can you get? You know,
and I was doing that every go, and I'd be like that doing it.
And that was on the Red Bull ramp, right?
Yeah. So I was doing that every show, it was so annoying because my foot would slide. You try and grip the crank off.
This inside foot comes off.
Yeah. Every time, because it'd slide off. But then once the hollow bites were about, I could just do them.
Okay.
Because I could grip the crank arm, and then it would never come off.
So you do it like turning the opposite way, so it's like a front side invert almost.
So I used to think about how I would do it on a skateboard. So I'd scoop it round. So you just literally, you're airing opposite way, but you're doing like that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think I'd go the other way if I was. I'd put my right hand down.
Yeah. And then
so on a skateboard, what way do you stand? What foot forward?
Left foot forward. Okay,
that's weird. Yeah. So you're doing like a normal hand plant on a skateboard.
Exactly.
But on a BMX, it looks like a front side hand plant.
Correct, because I've learnt them on a skateboard.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That way. And it's just so mad that that's how I learnt them on a skateboard, but that's how I figured it on a bike.
Well, you're on a bike. You're the same as I turn the opposite way to you, but
correct.
But on a skateboard,
same as me.
No, I'm the other way. So I'm if you know what I mean, that's the same. So my right foot's forward on a skateboard, left foot forward on a bike, and you're the complete opposite.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Yeah. So and then that and it just elevated everything. Then we were just doing a lot of cool things.
That was like Snickers bowl sort of around that time frame, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember
the Monsters of Rock where one got his download. Right?
Yeah, Metallica were playing that one. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it wasn't how it is now. It was first incarnation of it, I think.
What was that? 2005. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember Mozza came here on his way
to
it. And stopped, and we got something to eat, and then he drove up.
Yeah. And it was just mad, and it was just crazy times, and we had access all areas. What I didn't realise is how much I was learning from doing the shows
subconsciously
to what my job is now. Is literally like I'd learned so much from doing every festival. We're kind of performing in a way. We have performers.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You know, we're on the stage, we're doing all this
exactly
stuff.
What, I'd say that's exactly what
and I'm learning like what different roofs do, like with the wind, because obviously I'd always say to Red Bull, like, we need the roof to go this way so it protects the wind so we can ride it in all elements and stuff. And it was really cool times, that. And then I remember going to a CFB contest right after that. So I was on a roll, and then I did a hand plant there, and I was hollow bikes again so I could pull it. And one of my most favourite photos is in a Hoffman catalogue. I've got a blue bike, white front wheel, and a yellow Vans t-shirt, and it's like Hoffman used it for their ad. Don't know if it even got used in a mag, but it was definitely in a Hoffman catalogue, blue Hoffman catalogue. I'll send you the photo, but it was, I felt as though I'd made it.
Whose photo was it?
I don't know. I think it was maybe one of I'd have to have a look.
Okay.
But I just remember, like, I felt as though I'd made it.
Yeah.
I was in
the
Hoffman Bikes catalogue. Matt was on one photo and I was on another photo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is an achievement. Yeah. And, like, I really felt part of the team. And, like, then we went and did the team photo, and it was, like, me, Baz, Seth Kimbrough, Ryan Barrett, Kevin Robinson, Matt, and Anthony Napolitan.
Okay.
So it's quite a crazy team, and to be a part of that, I really felt, wow, this is something special to be a part of this team. And it was just great times.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, and then after that, I'm just trying to think time-wise. So what year will be at now? Like
2006, 7.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah. So
I would say after, because you rode that Soul Bowl thing that Joe Rich and
yeah.
The Download Festival, right?
Yeah.
Was that just 1 year, or was that a couple of years? 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd say 2005, 2006.
Yeah, really great times, and it was crazy that was even happening, because we all got paid really good money. The prize money was amazing, and if you made it into the top 10, the prize money was
no way. Where'd the prize money come from? Snickers or something? Yeah.
Then they had a manual contest, best trick, high air, and a manual contest. And if you could manual round the bowl. And then me and Ruben were doing manuals round the bowl. And then I think the prize money was like $2,000 to win a manual contest. It was just, John, if you say to people now, you could have won $2,000.
And you're going back 20 years.
Yeah. But then, so 2006 at this point, so it's really going well. So I'm like, I'm going to move down south. So I rent my house out up north, and I'm like, I'm going to move down south. So I'm like couch surfing at this time, and I'm like, I go to Hastings, check it out, and then I'm like really thinking, like, where am I gonna move to? What am I gonna do? Like, where do I want to live? And I'm like, I really like Brighton, really like London. Hastings seems the easiest option, and then we were doing a Red Bull thing, and I parked the van outside 70s, and all my stuff's in it. Literally everything. My bike's in there, because I'm just couch surfing.
Yeah.
My entire life's in there. I come back, the van's been ransacked.
No way.
The whole lot's gone. And I'm like, I'm going home. I'm over it. The bike's everything's gone, John. Like, your whole, even clothes. I'm like, what do I do? And then, like, I call my mum, and she's like, you can't give up that easy. You said this is what you want to do. You've got to do it. You've got to carry on. So I literally was like...
You was finished, yeah.
Yeah, I was like...
Demoralised.
Yeah. I was thinking to myself, I'm going into 70s tomorrow. I'm thinking, I'm quitting. You can keep the... Because I was on the road doing repping.
Yeah.
And, like, keep the van here. It's got none of my stuff in it. I'm over it. I'm going home. I'm going back to the real world. I don't want to lose all my stuff. And, like, no one knew any... Like, you know, if... I'm not saying, like, if your bike got nicked up north, I could find it for you. But I would know... I'd have a rough idea where to start to look in. And I would ask everyone, and no one knew anything. And my whole life had gone. Everything had gone. So I was like, what do I do? So I called my mum. She's like, stick it out. And then I called the head office of bands, and I was like, you're going to think I'm an idiot. My stuff's been stolen. Everything's gone. I haven't got anything. I haven't got any. Only got the clothes that are standing. That's all I've got. And they were like, go to Carnaby Street. We'll set you up. Don't worry. Just go there, get whatever you need. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, it's fine. And I was just like, okay, isn't that bad? You know, and then like I spoke to Emma and she was like, yeah, just come here. She was working at Sol Technology at this point. So she was like the rep for Altamont, America.
Yeah.
And then like, and she was like, oh, I've got a box full of Altamont stuff here. I'll speak to Darren, Darren
Robinson.
Darren Robinson. And they were having a trade show in London. And I just got the train up and I was just like, oh, I might go home. And Darren was like, you don't want to do that. And Emma was like, can you have some of this Altamont stuff? And Darren was like, yeah, take what you want. It's a sample. We've just done the show. After the show, you can have everything. And I was like, what, really? And I was like, no, I've got no bag. And I felt bad. And then, like, because this guy from Oakley, do you remember that was then Oakley was about to start suddenly hooking up all the riders?
Yeah, yeah.
And they sent me this massive box of stuff, and it was so nice. All the stuff, I hadn't even worn any of it. Gone. And the guy calls me, and he's like, oh, what do you reckon to the stuff? And I was like, it's gone. I just felt like that dude that gets the package and sells it. And he didn't know me from Adam, really. He was just like, oh, I see this guy around a lot. I think he'd come through Dave Allen. They sent me, and he never called me again. Because it was just like, what a joker. I've sent him a box of stuff, he's clearly sold it. But I hadn't, everything gone. Like,
fuck's sake.
I know. And so then I was like, Hastings ain't for me. I'm not moving to Hastings. It just put this sour taste in my mouth, and I was just like, I was over it, and I was just, and I was adamant I was never moving. And I said to Owain at the time, I was like, I'm never going to move into Hastings. That's it. And then I ended up moving to London. Lived in London for 9 months with Emma. Emma had a crazy mate that worked for Vivienne Westwood, and he was like, oh, I've got to go and set up a store in the Far East. You can move into my room. It's mad cheap. Just look after my room.
Where was you?
I was over in Little Venice.
Oh, okay.
By Meanwhile Gardens.
West.
Yeah. So it was far out west.
Yeah.
Shit for riding, really.
Yeah.
But Owain had come back and said to me, "Oh, you've got to live in London. London's amazing." And it was just like, it was an amazing. And I really wanted to do it, to tick it off, to say I'd lived in London. And I just found it. I was too far west, and I found it super, super lonely, because I was like, you guys were over at Waltham Abbey at this point.
Yeah.
So it was too far.
We're at this point. We was east. We was Hackney, but the shop was Waltham Abbey. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so far. It would take.
If that's the time I'm thinking it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's just too far to even get in a mix with everyone. So I was like, it was cool, like, because Emma was like living at the Palace house with Lev, who owns Palace, and all them guys were all living it, and she moved out of there, and we moved into this place in London. It was so cool living in London, but wasn't great for riding.
Yeah, I didn't even know you lived here.
It was, and I was obviously on the road a lot, because obviously I was sales rep for 70s, and I moved into the office. But I was floating around a lot, and like doing a lot of shows and doing all that. So and then 2000 end of 2006, 2007, I get a call from Vans saying, do you want to be team manager? And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds a good gig. And then I started doing that, and it was so good, because I was based here. I could go into the office, get shoes, send them out.
Where was the Vans office then? Shoreditch?
No, it was in. Oh God!
Did they have somewhere in Slough at one point? But
that's after. Yeah, they had an office in. opposite Battersea Power Station.
Okay.
You know, the other side of the river to Battersea Power Station. So
Chelsea, Knightsbridge.
No, further out than that. The venue we always do the Mercury's at. It'll come to me. But anyway, yeah. So they had an office there. Earl's Court.
Okay.
Yeah. They had an office there, big office there, and then they were like, "Oh, we want to do this thing. We want to do you being 10 years with Vans."
That was the advert. Yeah. Okay.
The ad, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be cool." We want to do it like the original ad.
Yeah.
We've spoke to Alan. We've got you a bike. We want you to do like this thing.
Yeah, like
we're going to do
BMX.
Yeah. We're going to do We're going to do the RAD shoe. We're going to do all this stuff. And I was like, all right, thinking, it's just going to be an ad.
Yeah.
And then because I'd always worked with Jasper, who did all the art direction with them, and he was always really cool. Sent me a storyboard, whatever he wanted, with what shoe he wanted, and I always helped him put riders with who was getting the cover.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
At them times, you'd get a tip off, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the cover.
Yeah.
So then I'd call them and go, oh, he's got the cover. He rides for us. You should get the back cover.
Yeah.
So then, like, they would call Ride and go, because I would say, don't say it ever came from me, because I didn't want it coming out that I was telling people who was getting the cover, because it was just like.
Yeah, no, sometimes if you're on the inside like that, you just get that little bit of info, don't you? And you're like, all right.
And then obviously that helps, and then it was snowballing then at that point, doing all the van stuff, and then we shot this photo. Me and Robin went to Romford, shot the old school because it had to be on concrete, had to be like a little turn bar, hop. They wanted a number plate with Vans on it. It had to be magged wheels, had to be all this stuff. Anyway, I was thinking, it seems a lot of stuff all the way for an ad. Yeah. Anyway, we did it. And then they were like, oh, you need to come up to Carnaby Street. We got like a thing in Carnaby Street. You just got to come up. And I was like, got to go to Carnaby Street. What? Can't we just...
Because the van store was quite new, right, at that point.
It's a really new thing. Anyway, so I go up there. Lo and behold, the whole Carnaby Street was this photo that I'd shot.
Oh, okay.
It was like the outline of it was a sticker in the window that said Vans BMX, and it was the whole Carnaby Street store, and it was me. It obviously you couldn't see it was me, but it was
because you had your head down.
Yeah. It was an outline, and then they said, this is a surprise. But this is worldwide. This is going to be all the van stores.
Oh, no way.
Across the world.
Yeah, I didn't know that,
And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. And then they were like, here's a picture of Alan's store. And I was like, what? And then Alan phoned me and he was like, yeah, this is my store's the same. And then like all the van stores, they did that. And then my mum went to the Liverpool store and they were like...
Yeah, because at that point, Vans had loads of stores, didn't they?
Yeah.
Now they've not got so many, but...
Yeah. And then, the Liverpool one, and then obviously... I was speaking to people and they'd done Huntington Beach store was the same, and I was like, no way, this is crazy.
So what was that all about though? Like
to release the RAD shoe.
Okay.
And they did a shoe and then it came with a pad set.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because it was like...
Well, that was quite early on for someone to be doing something like that.
It was really strange, and it came in a box. The shoes were in there and a red pad set, and it was like...
Have you still got some?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got the box, and it's like, and it come with like the shoes were in like a bag, white bag, like with blue writing on it. It says RAD, and then round the sole of the shoe.
Yeah, I remember around the sole of the shoe. What's the pad set? Just a checkered pad set?
Nah, it's just a red.
Just red.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it, and it just says Vans BMX on it, and it was just
in the old logo they used. Yeah,
correct. And then that's everything that we'd done. Everything was gone back to that. It was just like. I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy.
And do you remember what year that was? Was that 2010 or something? Or before?
Yeah.
Before, probably been before, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
2008 maybe?
Yeah, around that. Between 8 and 10.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It gets all put in the mix. But yeah, and then like, that was amazing bit of like...
I remember when it was on the back of the mag, Yeah,
it was on the back of the mag. It was on the back of all the mags. And then it went... the stores were just crazy to have that, and it was like a full cardboard cutout. Alan's had a, but you had to be like
I saw it. Yeah, I did see it.
You had to be like a BMX store and a van store, and you got the cardboard cutout. But I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 years. Rad.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And it.
Because that was shot Romford, yeah.
Yeah, me and Robin went and shot it.
Moguls was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was great because it was like, it would just never happen now.
Yeah.
Like, Jasper had sent me a storyboard of how he wanted it. He wanted like concrete, and I said to Robin, it's got to be concrete, it's got to be old school looking. I've got the old school bike, I've got all the gear. I was like, and Robin was like, it's got to be Romford, it's got to be Romford.
Yeah.
Romford or Harrow. So we just went to Rom, it was easiest to go to. We shot it, and it was just done. And we thought that was easy. I don't know if Robin got paid for all that stuff, but I guess it's just a photo, and they do whatever they want with it, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, that was the.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I didn't really. I was quite a bit detached from what was going on. I remember seeing that and just being like, "What's this mean?" Like,
doesn't make sense. Yeah. But like in their mainstream, because at that point they were doing a lot with this off the wall. Brand, which was like more aimed at fashion style.
It makes sense when you think you market into not people who are reading Ride or Dig or whatever. Like,
no, it was just literally
you're not marketing to them core people. You're going out to the masses.
And it was funny because at the time I would always go in the office and it'd be like, I'd hear Jeff Rowley's doing this, Rowley's doing this. There was so much emphasis put into skating, and I would really try and push it so much. Like when we were doing the tours, and I would try and make sure that, like when I did the tour and we started at a festival, and I took them all to the festival, and it was just all like, and then we made the DVD, and it was just like it was really pushed. But if you did them a good pitch and sold them like exactly what they wanted to hear.
Something they could get behind,
They were all about it. So it was really cool that. And when bands get into something, they get into it proper, it was cool. And they were doing the tours. And
is it different people who there now? You know, it must be, right?
Yeah.
Now I think it sucks now. But.
It's just crazy that what I used to notice at Vans was they were using Vans to get to be at the next brand. It was their stepping stone to be at Gucci or wherever, you know, like.
Yeah.
They were using. Oh well, my end goal is to be at Nike or Adidas or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm here right now, and okay,
that's all right.
Yeah. Just keep this guy happy. He keeps ranting on about shit. Just keep him happy over in the background. He wants a few grand a year to do a tour and photos. Just keep him happy. Same with the skateboarding. But then
you're gone. Yeah, that's I get the feeling it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they, to be honest, they were so good and they were so cool to me. They still give me the discount code.
Yeah.
And I still get. I still to this day now still buy Vans. I've got Vans shoes on. I've got Vans trousers, Vans t-shirt. I buy Vans stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not. And that's another thing that I always think is weird, is like, and I hate it, is like in BMX where people go to me, oh, can you do me a deal? It used to drive me mad. Do me a deal? What you're earning 5 times what?
On van stuff?
Just on everything.
On anything, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you get it.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was at 70s. Like,
it's not so much now, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
But mate, you're a banker. You want a deal on some tyres?
The other day, someone asked me for a discount code on some brake mounts.
No! What are you doing? You know, like, it's tough being this helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And what, you want a discount?
On a t-shirt.
Yeah, you want a deal on a t-shirt or a brake mount kit? No! Pay full price.
Yeah.
These are your friends. You're trying to support your friends doing cool things. Support it. Don't go. That is such a diss to ask people. Like, that's why I just wanted to say it, because I just think that more people need to say this stuff, because It used to drive me insane when people would, can you do me a deal on this?
Yeah.
No, you're a car dealer.
Yeah.
You know, you've just pulled up in a Porsche.
No problem. You're gonna buy this set of bars and you're gonna have them for 4 years.
Yeah.
You'll definitely get your money's worth.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't need £5 off. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh man. And then basically, kind of like that scratches us up to now, really, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And you've ridden all the way through, like.
Yeah, I've never really had I've obviously changed my bike.
Still enjoy. Obviously, I've seen the many. That's normal, isn't it? Everyone changes many bikes.
Yeah.
Variations, most people, but I
still love it now.
It's still cool that you're still on it now, right?
I still love been riding today. I built a mini ramp in our office. It's so cool because I finally, we've got our own business now, and I was like, it was like our main thing was, okay, we're going to get a space, but I want to put a ramp in there.
Yeah.
And obviously it's the same as what it's like here, finding a space. If I was up north, I could have a warehouse. But I live in Brighton, and it's not a reality of finding a warehouse or finding a space that had a ramp. The guy that was looking for it for me, he thought I was insane. He took me to about, I'm not joking you, 50 warehouses or 50 places. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. And
look up.
Literally, I'd go in, and I was like, there was ones with roller shutters, and I'd be like, this is it. Go in there, and it'd have a mezzanine floor at 5 feet, 6 feet, or whatever it is. And I'm like, sorry. And then the place I seen was, I walked in there, and it was like, whoa, why is this? And I couldn't even get to the back. And Jurgen's going to me, Emma had found it online. She was like, look at this place, this is it. And it was wrecked. It was this knee deep in sawdust. It was a workshop for a coffee place, the company that owns all the coffee shops in Brighton. They had their warehouse, and Shaun had told me, Shaun Scarf from 414, he said the minimum you can have is a 4-foot mini ramp, but you need a minimum of 12-foot high floor to make that ramp work. You need from floor to ceiling 12 feet.
Okay.
You can't go any less than that, or it won't work, because you'll hit your head when you pop out on the deck and stuff like that. So I go in there and I walk in 4 feet, because you can't go in. There's so much sawdust, there's wood everywhere. And I said to the guy that was selling the place, I was like, how wide is it? He goes, 15 feet. And I went, how long is it? 30 feet. I went, I'll take it. And he went, you are insane. And everyone was like, this is perfect. And I went, yeah. And everyone was like, yep, this is us. And he's looking at us like, I've taken you to the most clean place. Has everything. Toilets. And he's showing us toilets, and we just, nah. And then Emma's just going, has it got water? And then he goes, yeah, it's got a toilet out the back there somewhere. And I was like, don't care, I'll sort it. And I was like, I'll take it. And he was like, okay. And then it was fucked when we got it. It was, so I cleaned it all out, and then called Shaun. Shaun sent the guys down.
Oh, no way. How big's the ramp?
A 4 foot high, 12 foot wide, but it's got a pillar in it, so I can do wall taps.
Okay.
And
how tight is the transition?
6 foot.
Okay, so relatively steep.
Yeah. You can ride your pegs on it. Saw Jason Enns' one in his garage, and I was sold.
Yeah.
Messaged them, and they were like, here's the dimensions of what my ramp was. It's a 4 foot high, 6 foot transition, and then it's perfect. And it's fun. It's listen, I'm not trying to qualify for the X Games.
Yeah.
If my battle today is ice pick to fakie, so be it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go out and.
You're trying to have fun.
I love it. I love it. And I'll do foot jams, wall taps, manual rolls, airs, and I was losing my mind because I was going for months and not riding because I work all the way through the summer, and then come the winter time, it's raining. It's raining. And I live in Brighton,
or it's iced,
yeah,
and it's both.
You live in England, you know the score, and I needed to do something. So, and you can always add to a mini ramp. I've got little sub boxes I can put on it, and
Have you skated it?
Skate every day.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so loud. because like if Emma's on a call or whatever, it's too loud.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but my mate Andy, who's a skate filmer, he comes and, yo, session on. Yeah, come down if you want.
And
he
how
loves
wide?
it. Huh?
How wide is it?
12 foot wide.
Okay.
So, it's like, it doesn't sound that wide, but when you ride it, it's so much fun. Like, for skating, it's unreal. He's like, this is the best mini ramp. But then, like, I have to reel him in because he's like, I'm with digs. I'm just trying to film some stuff. No. I just don't want all the skaters knowing where it is, or I don't. Like it. You just got to keep a lid on it because, and like everyone I ride with,
private space, like
and it's our office. It's our office. It's like if you built one in here. It's the same thing. And then so like it's fine. Like Isaac and all them, I have no problem. They come down. All of the Brighton lot whenever they want to. If the rain's, because it can rain for 2 weeks straight here. Can't it?
Totally.
And so you want to just come and get your nibble on. It's there. Come down. It's fine. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent.
So yeah, I don't know what else to cover.
That's good. That's good. That's perfect, man. I'm good. I'm good with that. What time did you train?
10:40. So yeah.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
It won't take me 40 minutes to ride to.
No way. Let me. Can you? Yeah. Cheers for that, John. That was fucking great.
No worries.
Thanks for listening. We've got a Patreon page, so if you could show us any support, we'd be most grateful. The link's below. A lot of work goes into these shows, so anything you could do would be much appreciated. Thank you.